This episode of an Unexpected Podcast is dedicated to the memory of our good friend Joe Lewis's grandpa, Jim. Hello, friends, and welcome to an Unexpected Podcast. I'm Ez.
And I'm Lane.
And we're talking Tolkien.
We're coming to you from the Shire of America, the beautiful state of Ohio, in a little village called Amanda, and for the first time ever, from Gandalf's Pad in the North Farthing.
Wow. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about that because that's legit, actually. That's legit. So,
and it comes with these beautiful blue lights that just emanate out of your bookshelves.
I know, isn't it great?
Gorgeous, man. I
Isn't it
can't
great?
stop looking at it, man. It looks like this. You're like an icon, a religious icon or something.
I figure this is how Gandalf would have done it. You know, this is how he would have done it. So.
He would have gone on. He would have gone in heavy on the bookshelves. Yes.
Right. Oh my gosh. So this week we bid a long farewell to a great many friends as the fellowship slowly breaks. Nah, it's eternal bond by friendship and love.
That's right, baby.
Yeah.
That's right, my friend. This is weird. I'm sitting here, and I told you this right before. I've got Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit, Scrabble, Snake Oil, Handemonium, and then a Lord of the Rings jigsaw book. And then my phone's right on top. So you're like actually pretty close to where you would be in real life, like your head.
Okay.
Your my eye. We're meeting each other at the right eye level, I think.
Yeah.
But it's so weird, man. And how weird that the last time we recorded, we were out on the couch. I think we even kind of joked around, or I joked around about being 6 feet apart, right? And I think we both thought we'll be back. We'll be back right next week, and we'll record, and it won't be a big deal. And how crazy of a 5-6 weeks it's been, man. Unbelievable. And to think that like we've never, so many partings, right? A change, a breaking, and this is how we're recording in a way that we never have before.
Yeah,
it's just weird. Another way that the chapter parallels, man. It's bizarre.
It truly is. I was thinking about that. I was like, I actually had forgot because I had went ahead and kind of read on ahead, and I just had some time, so I was like reading. I was like, wait, what chapter are we on? And when you said that, I was like, no,
it's too weird.
Way. I was like, what?
It's too weird.
Oh, so that's crazy. But
sorry, I just hit Siri. I'm not really sure why.
Because you're serious. That happens to me all the time.
This is exactly what happened. That's what happened. Sometimes I say Sarah too, and it goes, yeah, you want to ask a question? No, I don't. Quick counsel, my friend. How are you? How are you dealing with? Is shelter in place still going on in Ohio, or did that change today?
I don't actually. So I think
now it's just I think it's the new. It's like stay safe order, right? Which just you got to maintain social distancing.
Right.
Use
follow
your best
the recommendations.
Judgment.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Very slowly, stores are kind of. I did actually. I had to go to the grocery store today, and I did see quite a few more people out. Like a lot. Not a lot, but like to
wearing masks or not, or
yes, almost everyone was wearing a mask, and people were. There's a line, right? So they're checking like how many people are in the store, and they just don't want it to be too many. So they've set up these lines where essentially you have to come in this way, and there's a guy there with a counter.
Man,
just kind of making sure. Yeah, I was like, wow, okay, cool. So, I don't know. I'm glad people are staying safe and taking it serious and doing everything they can to kind of slow the spread and stuff, and try to also get back to some normalcy. It's just such an impossible situation, I think, to kind of be in, and it's really, really difficult. And I don't even know the full extent of that difficulty. Really, everyone has different situations, things that they're working with, dealing with, and stuff. I mean, it's crazy. My good friend Matt was laid off, and like I'll tell you, like those like unemployment stuff has not come through. It's been over a month, and I'm like, man, like that's just there's some stuff going on. So we know a lot of people are hurting, and really we just decided to kind of take care of our families, do our own thing, and just really follow the orders and stuff. And again, us coming back to this, we definitely want everyone to know like we are in 2 different locations, and we're trying.
Yeah, I think honestly part of the reason that it has been a while since we've released an episode, right, is because was that very reason. I was kind of in denial at first, man. I was like, oh, Ez will come back, and then just time got away from us, and I'm like, holy crap, we're gonna really have to do this remotely. Like we've never ever done this. This has never happened in the history of you and I podcasting.
Yep.
in either Middle Earth or Narnia, it's always been right here at this table, all together. We hang out before, we hang out long after into the night, and so it's just been. And I honestly, I think part of my resistance to record was part of that. Like we got to catch up a little bit before, and we've been calling each other a bunch more and more because we miss each other, But it's just been that idea of it's going to be different, and my fear was it wasn't going to feel right. And I'm sitting here talking to you right now, and it's eerily the same. Like that's the weird thing. Like it feels different, but it's an okay different. And like there's still mics. The book is still the same. I'm still looking at you. You know, we've got the same formatted document, and I don't know. Maybe it's an exciting kind of thing too. Like that we're able to like the magic of technology allows us to do it this way. It's incredible.
Well, yeah, but if anybody saw me freak out there, I said like a little like
I lose the connection.
Something going on over here. That's fine. No. So here's the thing. I mean, I think you're right. And really, I mean, this is going to sound crazy, but I was kind of myself thinking like, you know what? Let's just, in the spirit of this, we'll just kind of keep waiting. We'll see how this goes.
Nothing wrong with silence, man. I mean, Tolkien talks about that. Stop and take your time. Try to figure things out. Yeah,
absolutely. And but then when you told me that this is mini partings. And we started thinking about it. I was like, that is literally so fitting. I've just never thought I was like, this is crazy. So like if there was ever a time or a chapter to really do this and to kind of feel that, I was like, fine. I mean, we've been saying it, and it's not even a joke. It's not even a joke. We've been saying it literally the whole podcast, that like things that happen in the chapter, and it's again, maybe it's us like, exaggerating it and making these connections because we want to, but
forcing destiny in a way, I guess.
Yeah. But
it is uncanny. It's uncanny, and maybe it's just a testament to like how this book club is formed, and we're all thinking about the story all the time, or not all the time, but a lot, frequently, and drawing parallels to our own life, and maybe that's that's what it's all about, right? It's trying to connect to a text at a personal level, and it is weird, man. It from the Black Riders to geez, it seems like every episode in between there has been something that
there's
I can
weather.
Go.
Yeah.
Yes, man. There's anchors. There's anchors that make this story, I don't know, like cemented into the experience of recording. It's crazy. So yeah. But you're doing good. Like teaching's going well.
Yeah.
Uncle Keto's fighting the Carb Wars.
Yeah, the Carb Wars are still going on, friends.
Have you heard from Carb Lord yet? Have you heard from Carb Lord?
So here's the thing. Actually, Uncle Keto got beat last. It's been a while. I am currently losing the Carb Wars, but I will tell you, I have made up for it in this hard stelzer and stuff. Only 2 carbs in that, by the way, tossing it out there. So I recently have had some stressors at work and just different things. And so it's like you come back and I'm like, okay,
get that comfort food.
We're back at it. Okay.
Yeah.
All these villains I've been facing.
Yeah, man.
Captain Carb, Lord Carb, all of them.
Lady Cinnabon.
Exactly. Paleo Girl. I mean, all of them. I'm like, I'm not messing with. I've got my friends. I've got Lane, Fasting Boy. I've got Fasting Boy. Okay. I've got
the window man. The window man.
Yeah. So I haven't decided if my other buddy Matt is a good guy or a bad guy. We're calling him Super Grains.
Grains Bros. I mean, that's a carb, dude.
That's a carb. So I don't. Is it super in that maybe there's something special because there are those breads that are like no carb, more fiber.
Shoot.
There's more fiber than there is like So. It's the net
it's
card
a twist.
Difference.
That's a twist, man. I like that.
Oh my gosh! But it's been crazy. But I'm back at it, and Uncle Keto
feel good?
is feeling good, and I'm like 3 days in now, like solid back into it. Have the keto breath, feeling good again. So
I can testament to that or testify to that I don't know what word I'm trying to use, but that keto breath is for real, man.
It's for real.
It is. I don't miss that. Like that's kind of cool. It's not coming through my phone, but no, you came to drop off the Zoom. Was it last week?
Yeah.
And I think you thought I was just talking you up, bro. But Sarah and I both, we talked later. We were like, he looks like a half of. He looks half of himself, man. He's dropping pounds like an Uncle Keto.
I'm telling you, you guys go back to the fuel source. I'm telling you right now. I mean, we have literally shifted it up. I mean, here's the thing, and again, if it weren't for like me turning this into the Carb Wars, I mean, legitimately, it is a war. when I go through and ask for a sandwich and they give me, and I always say no bun, right? I don't want any bun on this sandwich, right?
Nope.
And it shows up with a bun. I start looking around for like Lord Carb and Captain Carb.
Oh, he's there, man.
Because
he's there.
It's a fight. It is a fight. And I'm just, and I'll tell you what, I can't say, here's the other thing too. You can get nowhere in this war without Hydro Girl. So that
Hydro Girl is imperative, man.
I'm telling you, these are,
she's the Lady Galadriel of this entire thing, man.
Oh man. It's literally her reminders to me that, I mean, she literally, when she sits down and I'm sitting here in these wars, and she sits down in front of me and she says, she literally looks at me, she says, Uncle Keto. And I'm like, yes, Hydro Girl. And she's like, you're not hungry. You're thirsty.
You're thirsty.
And
oh my gosh, dude.
She's right.
Oh my gosh.
She's right. And it's all like, it's just been a war. But it's great. I'm having fun with it. And so there's actually, I bring this all up because there's some fun stuff coming down the line and we've got some stuff brewing and I'm excited about it. So
I've got a lot of work to do. I mean, you're creating these characters just kind of on the cuff. And I'm thinking, geez, concept art, high res illustrations, panels, personalities. Oh, geesh, man. You're creating a workload for me, bro.
It's crazy. Got definitely. I'm out on the mower, so I still go and mow my field, and I've been helping my dad, my sister, and I mow their yards. You know, because I can do. I can do.
Comes to mind.
Them. And they come to mind. It's just fantastic. But I sent those to you like a couple weeks ago, and I was just like, this is where my mind is right now. And you're like, what's going on with Ez?
I was dying, man. I started scribbling down like logos and stuff and like character concepts. It's hilarious.
It's great.
But it's the perfect visual. Yeah,
it's great. So hey, how have you guys been? How, Sarah and Winnie, Charlotte, how's everyone doing?
Dude, it has been nonstop. It's crazy. You and I had a little vent sesh before we started just because I think it was Sarah was talking to you for a second and I overheard her say that she read or saw somewhere was it something my sister posted about Hillary saying it? Yes. So my sister is she's got a social work background. And so she's always reminding us that, hey, these feelings are normal. It's all right. It's okay to feel many things at once. And I heard Sarah say that to you, and that's kind of how it's been. And so all that to say that if you're feeling that way, if you're feeling, kind of these conflicting emotions all at one time, it is okay. That it's okay to feel like frustrated and elated and depressed and happy and frustrated all at the same time. I feel like I go through, like more of a range of emotions throughout this, especially like last couple weeks. Last couple weeks have been kind of hard than I have in years. Just the whole, teaching from home is not the easiest thing in the world. Thankful I have my job. I'm not saying that, but the issue for me is that my, needing to, my responsibilities for my job a lot of times occur during the day, and I've got both my girls, right. And my beautiful wife is also pregnant. So, and she's also a teacher. And so there's all these different things that, have kind of popped up that it's just like, man, how do I deal with this? Like, is this something to, worry about? Is this something that is out of my control? I feel like I'm analyzing a lot. So all I have to say, I'm exhausted, dude. I've never been more tired in my entire life. I was thinking today, I was like, when have I been more physically tired? Like the emotional and mental strain has kind of turned into this weird physical thing. Yeah. And I think I don't know. It's been a long time. All that to say, I am so grateful for my time with my girls. Especially Sarah and I were talking like this is time that we're getting with them before cross fruit number 3 comes that we would never have had before. And like especially like I'm still like bonding with Charlotte because she's starting to detach a little bit from Sarah. It just kind of in a natural process of what's going on. And so I wouldn't have had like it's almost like kind of hard to process, dude, but it's like bonding with her that I would not have had because it's happened when she's been at home all day with us. And that's what you have to focus on. Like there are all these frustrations, all these things out of your control that can eat away at you. And it's okay to have moments where you're like, oh my God, like what am I supposed to do?
Yep. Yep.
What am I supposed? I don't know what to do. That's okay. That's okay. And we have to be patient with each other and say, all right, you're having a moment. I don't need to say anything. It's okay. And to the important thing is to come back from it and to be like, no, this is not a big deal. Calm down. Realize what's going on. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's safe right now. Like, we're together. And so it's funny though. It's funny. We talk about evil, man. We talk about how evil tries to snake its way in, right? It tries to snake its way into to things that are meant to cause growth and can be good things. And that's this time at home. There has been evil that's tried to snake in, and it's tried to just change my perspective on what actually is going on. And so, but constant reminders from my wife and talking to you, talking to my dad, have helped, and my mom as well, obviously, but have helped me, realize that and to focus more on the positive. So it's been crazy, man. It's been a lot to juggle, and especially like Charlotte is so little that when she's awake, we have to be, someone's got to be with her because she's exploring, she's getting into all kinds of stuff. If you've had a baby, you know what I'm talking about. If you've had more than a baby, you know what I'm talking about even more. Like, she finds the corner. She's like a Roomba, dude. She is a Roomba. She'll go find the corners and just be like, oh, what's in this corner here? And dude, I don't know if you've noticed this. Like, as an adult, a corner is the worst place in the world. I hate the corners of our houses. Like, I put lamps there and chairs there for a reason, because I don't want to have to go back in there and play. And she loves to go into corners and just like, is there an outlet here? Right. Can I move this? Can I move that? And it's just, she's nonstop. But like seeing her and Winnie's bond, like strengthen is crazy. It's awesome, man. A lot of stuff going on. Like, we just what did we do today? This evening I went and got a brand new car. So we're talking about like many partings, right?
Yes.
I had a sad farewell, man, to that old Honda Fit. Like, that car had been with us. We got it and immediately broke it in on a road trip. We went out to California, San Diego. Yeah. Sarah was pregnant with Winnie. We brought both the girls home in it. It went up to Mackinac in Canada, made a trip up north. And I don't know what happened to me but I got emotional.
Wow.
I went to get that. Spent the day teaching from home, went out, got the car washed, and I probably looked ridiculous. I went through the car wash and then pulled it back around and stopped, got out and took a picture of it.
Wow.
I took a picture of the car. And I was just thinking, I'm like, and I was talking to it. So maybe I'm losing my mind I don't know. But I was talking to the car. I was like, you've been a real good friend. Like, you've taken us a lot of places. You've kept us safe. Right. You have seen a lot of really, really good, I'm getting emotional, bro. Laughs and tears and teaching moments and hilarious things that the girls have said and done, and things that my wife have gone and done together. And the song by Lenny Kravitz again started playing in the dealership, and I thought, will I ever see this car again?
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, maybe someday I'll go track it down and I'll find it and I'll bring it back and it'll live here in the Shire and we'll ride once more.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Dude, I know what you're talking about, because you know how much I love to drive and travel.
I still remember your old Buick thing or whatever that was, Oldsmobile, whatever that was.
Yeah. And I have pictures of that car, and I think about the memories associated with that.
Yeah, man.
The journeys, the trip through New York, and it saving me and
saved your life.
Saved my life. And then it's like it sheltered and protected me. And so I totally get what you're saying. The other thing too,
it even acted as your, sorry to interrupt, but it even acted as your closet for a while, man. That trunk, I honestly can't remember anything but the trunk. I remember you lifting open that trunk and there's a gym bag, there's a couch, there's some leftover Cheez-Its.
There was he's got everything. Always had a basketball or a
basketball was always in there.
Yeah, always had that, because we were always playing some pickup ball. And man, it's just crazy. So I don't know. I've always loved my car, and so I get where you're coming with this, and I hope the same thing will happen with your van, because it's like Han Solo says, when he's talking to the Millennium Falcon, it's just like, you're my baby, hold together. It's like Like, I need you one last time. Come on, like, we've got to get through this.
Dude, so the sales lady I was talking to, I think she thought I was kind of nuts because I was giving her way too much information. But it's just funny, like when you're not interacting with people socially regularly, when you do, I find myself I'm just talking it up. And I'm like,
right.
I fancy myself an introvert, man, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm acting like an extrovert with this lady. I'm talking her head off, and I was like, yeah, it's funny, you know, I lost the side view and that dent actually with my buddy. We were podcasting, and you know, it's the middle of the night and we heard a couple pops, and what was that? You know, went outside, didn't see anything, you know. Next morning, and she's just like, geez, I don't want to hear this story. And it's hard to tell because she's got a mask on, so I can't tell if she's like, what are you doing? I was like, we went out next morning, and I guess like some truck came by and just knocked him off, and so that's why it is the way it is. And yeah.
Kind of overdoing it on the storytelling. I get that. You're like,
it was a little too much.
It's my first time to like talk to somebody else.
It was weird buying a car, like a new car, like post COVID. So, but got a van. I'm now a man with a van. I put out a poll on Twitter. I can't check it because I'm recording through my phone right now. But I said, you know, out shopping for a van, what would Aragorn do? And I think one of them was buy a sports car, you know, get a van like you should, or stick with your fit. And overwhelmingly, people said Aragorn's going with a van. He's got to get those hobbits somewhere safely. And I said, yeah, you're right. He would go with the van. So, oh my God.
Absolutely.
Did you see what just happened?
No, what happened? What happened? Did you drop me?
Did you see what just happened, dude?
Did you drop me? Did you let me fall? Are you serious right now? You let me fall? Like, dude, that's if there's a first for podcasting,
that's it, bro. That's it.
Lane's
right there.
never let me fall before. He's always.
I can't carry you, Mr. Ezra. Dude, I gave you crap about knocking your mic. That totally outdoes that. Oh my gosh,
dude, that's hysterical. This is the
wow.
This is what you get. There's gonna be an extra layer of entertainment because
I'm sweating now, man. Jeez,
of the technical difficulty.
I need your silent fan right now.
Dude, give my silent fan, bro. It's not.
Dang.
I don't know that it's silent. It's been making noise over here, but
you're hearing it. It's silent when I can't hear it. But so we got a van. It's an Odyssey, Honda Odyssey. People, I want to give a shout out to the people at Lindsay Honda. They're fantastic here in Columbus. Not here. They're in Columbus. And I don't know. I was thinking of a name. And I think I came down with the Stormcrow.
Yeah.
I think we're going to call it the Stormcrow. It's gray. And so I went Gandalf the Grey, Gandalf Greyheim, Stormcrow.
Yep.
Stormcrow. So that's what we're going to call it. Anyway, I wanted to bring up, so it brought me back to, because I was excited to bring the van back to dude, okay. First of all, van shopping. Am I going too long here? Is this okay?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This has been a while. It's been a while since we've talked, so this is great.
You know when you buy a new car and you're like, all right, there's the high. Like I feel the high. Sometimes it's like your first car, it's as soon as you go to the dealership, right? Or wherever you buy your car. Second car, it's like, okay, as soon as I get in and test drive, right? I was waiting for the high to kick in. And it didn't hit me. And I'm driving home, and I'm just like, well, this is it. Okay. It's a van. And I'm looking around, I'm like, nothing is pleasing me, right? Like nothing's sparking any kind of joy.
Right.
That's it. I'm looking around. I was like, when is the high? I've been more excited about going to Kroger and buying a bag of onions than I was about buying this van. Okay.
Seriously. Wow.
And I was just waiting for the joy. When in the heck is this going to come? When am I going to find happiness from this van? And I'll tell you when it happened. Came home. The girls were asleep. When he woke up, I said, Winnie, you want to go see the van? Because we've been talking about this for a couple weeks now. I said, do you want to go see what Daddy bought you? She goes, what? I said, what do you think it is? She goes, I said, what are we talking about buying? Van? Yeah. Went out. She sees it. She lights up. She wanted to play in it. She's like climbing around, trying to play in the van. Didn't want to come out. Started crying when we had to go back inside. That's when it hit me. I was like, okay, all right. I know why we got this van. It's for the girls. It's for like the family, right? So as a kid, I remember a car that my dad brought home. I was probably 4 or 5, and I have a vivid memory of my dad bringing this car home and us going out, and it burned in my memory is the first vision of this car. Do you have a memory like that?
Yes, I do, and I know exactly what you're talking about. So it would be my dad's truck. Yeah.
Yes, mine's a truck too. Yeah. Mine's a truck too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, like it's also something too. Like I can remember the first time we got the truck. I remember it being there for all the Little League games. We used it all the time. Little Toyota truck. It actually still, I mean, it was. I cannot believe a couple years ago I was like, my dad was trying to sell it. I was like, give that away. That thing is 18 years we've had that thing, you know. So that was kind of wild. And like the neighbor boy wanted to come down and he wanted to buy it. My dad gave him a really good deal, just a couple $100. He said, you're gonna have to fix it up, because you're gonna have to fix it up. Like it's not. It's. I mean, the speedometer wasn't working. I used to drive that truck, by the way, and my friends would be like, "Dude, you're going 110 miles per hour. Why does it say 110?" Guys, it's broke. It's like, well, how fast are you going? That we're just gonna have to, we're just gonna have to kind of like,
we're gonna eyeball it. We're gonna eyeball it.
And they're like, why don't you ever shift from like, first gear down to second? Why do you go right from 1 to like 3? There's 2 no is hard to hit. It's tough.
Oh my gosh,
it's a problem. So I mean, yeah, and you have those memories. I can still smell that, like when I worked in the factories and stuff. Like that was Dad and I worked together, and even when we didn't, I would take his truck. I mean, it was, I don't know, that was the one you had all the ink and all the oil and all that kind of stuff, the grease on you, and it just I loved that truck. I loved the smell of it. It was great.
It's amazing, isn't it? I think like I'm not, and I'll probably say this about you too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we're not even really car guys. Like we're not car people. Like there are people who they love cars. They freak out about cars.
Right.
And so it's just interesting that like even people who don't like geek out about cars, we still have those connections and those memories built into, I mean, it's probably the same thing that like people felt about horses when you would ride a carriage or ride a horse places. It was like, it got you there, man. Like it got you places.
That's
right.
That's right.
So it's oddly enough, mine was a truck too. It was a Ford. It was like a 94 Ford F-150 that my dad brought home. I remember he parked it out. Mom walked us out of the apartment. This is in Chicago. And I remember him just standing by it and us just climbing in and just like thinking it was the coolest thing in the world. And it's nuts, man. So anyway, I got a glimpse of that today from the other end. It was pretty special.
Awesome. That's cool. That is really cool. Can I ask you a question, and not to derail this conversation, but about 5-10 seconds ago, did your left knee, was it itching at the same time that?
Yeah, dude.
Was that? Did I see that? Because I thought I saw that. I thought I saw you were scratching.
We also, like before we started recording, we did this at the same time too.
I thought there's been a couple of times.
There's a connection here, my friend.
There's something going on. Like I literally went down to scratch my left knee, and I look up and you're and I'm like, something's going on.
Something's going on, man.
Something's going on. I'm sorry.
Is that you? Is that you touching me?
Hey, man.
Yes?
Hey.
That's all right. I'll keep it clean. I did want to, before we get out of quick counsel here, we'll get into dropping eaves right now. But I wanted to give a huge congrats to our buddy Rob Thorson and his wife Danielle. I don't know if I've told you this. They had their first baby girl named Autumn. She's beautiful. For those of you've heard us mention Rob before. He is my brother from another mother. He works at Rugby Athletic and MA Apparel in Minnesota. He's done our shirts for Patreon. He's done the podcasting shirt itself. He's done loads of stuff for rugby for me. He's just an amazing human being. So I want to say congrats to both of them. Give them a huge shout out. And welcome to the club, man, of being a girl dad. It's a fantastic thing. Best thing in the world.
That's awesome. Yeah, congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah, buddy. So let's get into dropping eaves here, my friend. So the show has been like all film and television productions. The show has been put on hiatus. So there was a kind of it hasn't been confirmed, a rumor out there. I think we talked about it last time that all the writers were fired and that they were starting from scratch or something. I don't think that is true. I haven't been able to find anything to corroborate it. The one clickbait.net reported it, so I don't know. Haven't heard anything to actually confirm that claim. So as far as we know, everything's fine. I think when we last, we're all fine here. Everything's fine. How are you? And so I think when we last talked, J.A. Bayona had just posted a pic from the set. And the other thing I want to talk about, too, that we didn't talk about before, it was of a tree, and he was referencing an anime filmmaker, and it excited a lot of people. Well, one thing I wanted to mention, though, is I love that they were outside. I think one of the things that got kind of lost for me with The Hobbit is that there was a lot more done digitally and kind of even like digital compilation of real places that was sort of just kind of felt weird. So hopefully with the show, they're doing tons of like on location stuff, not as much like working in studio, on sets. Hopefully they're getting out into New Zealand and exploring new corners. But it seems like they were, because that was a tree lit up at night, and I'm guessing they're outside. So that's very exciting. So kind of some really cool news. Adam McKay, one of the two showrunners, has followed us on Twitter. So I told Ez the other day, I'm like, bro, it's it. We're going out. Incredibly honored, incredibly flattered. I think he's very low key on Twitter. Not a lot of people even know he's on Twitter. But it was amazing. So all I did was, I was like, you know what? I mean, during this time, I'm just gonna tweet, and I'm gonna at them, and I'm gonna say, we're ready. We're ready to talk.
Yep.
We're ready to hear your Tolkien story. Let's go. And like after 3 days, we got that. I couldn't even believe it, dude. I saw my phone notification. It said, "Oh, what is his? I think his. I'm not gonna even give his name out. But sure. He followed us. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna message him. I'm not gonna go over the top. I'm just gonna say, hey, we want to hear your Tolkien story. Let me know. And he replied. So that's all I'm saying.
That's all you need to say.
That's all I need to say. I want to say more, but I'm not going to. And that's not implying anything one way or the other. It's just, I don't, just out of privacy, I'm not going to say anything. But it's been amazing. So I think we're going to work on JD Payne as well and see if these two guys. And I didn't realize, like, we've been talking about these two guys for so long, right?
Yeah.
Over 2 years now, that I had forgotten, or maybe we never even talked about this. They have known each other and worked as a writing team for 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years. I think they met in like high school debate team and started working together and writing ever since. So it's just so cool when you see those like teams that you just they have to coexist because they know each other so well, and they only amplify what the other does or what the other is good at. Kind of like you and me, you know what I mean? Or like you and Matt, or like you and me and Goldberry. It's just it's cool when you find these combinations that work, and they happen all the time in life. Frodo and Sam, Gandalf and Aragorn. So I guess that's not a real life example, but it's just really, really cool. Very excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The biggest news that's happened in regards to the show has been something that the OneRing.net and Corey Olson kind of both alluded to, is the fact that Tom Shippey is no longer involved with the project. However, their mentionings are the only two places I've heard anything about it, which makes me a little bit skeptical. It was just kind of interesting. I think Corey reportedly mentioned it who's the Tolkien professor, mentioned it on a YouTube live, and then said that, with respect to his colleague and friend, he didn't want to say any more, which I understand. Especially live videos, you can't go back and edit. Once you say something, it's kind of out there, and then you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't probably be mentioning this. But it's just kind of, it's interesting to me. I wonder if this is true, if this is just maybe something that's planted for people to be talking about the show. If it is true, it is a little bit troubling, I think. If especially, we were all very excited to hear about him, along with John Howe, being involved in the production, because it just gives a little bit of a connection to the past. John Howe's involvement with Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit films, and then Tom Shippey's, direct involvement with writing The Author of the Century and having known Tolkien and worked with the Tolkien estate. He brought a certain level of like authenticity and truthfulness to what they were going to do, right? To tie it into the texts that Tolkien created within the Second Age. So that's a little, if that is true, that is a little alarming, because if he's lost, I think that's a power that's taken away. Now, could Tom's role also be kind of finished for a second or two? Yes. I honestly think maybe it's just there's not a whole lot to talk about because they're not filming. Sure. They were going to kind of take a break anyway, but I think that they were scheduled to be back into recording. Yeah, they're doing a podcast, filming at this time. And so maybe they're trying to create some buzz. I hope that's what it is. I hope that Tom's still involved. If he's not involved, though, like maybe they're going to bring someone else who can offer the same level. I mean, that would be difficult to imagine who could do that, but someone else who could make sure that the show corroborates with Tolkien's work and stays true to that, maybe in a way of keeping things fresh as well. So all that to say, nothing's been confirmed. What are your thoughts and feelings about that, my friend?
Well, I mean, I always err on the side of like, there's so many conversations, and it is such an interesting thing because people get really touchy about like an adaptation and what do you keep? And I'm going to make one comparison here just to Wheel of Time, because it is Amazon and it is a big series that you're whatever. So you have, I'm just going to share this.
And Robert Jordan is no longer alive, right?
No longer alive.
Okay. So the same kind of situation.
You got that situation, right? Where the estate and, where his wife and things, they're working with this. There's like Amazon has the rights. And then you have the author, though, who finished the series, Brandon Sanderson, who's in there. And like, here's an example. The showrunner is in charge of adapting this to TV. And you bring an author in who's only like their skill set and what they know is the books. It is all of that heavy, thick lore and all of that. And I will just say this. Brandon Sanderson said like he was a little bit like there were some changes he totally understood. Some he didn't quite understand why they were making the change, but okay. And there was some that he was like, wow, I can't believe they're making that change. And maybe it's going to be good, maybe it's not. And people were sort of like, whoa, just having the author who finished the series say that. It's on a blog. It's actually on his blog somewhere. And maybe I'm amplifying it a little bit too much because it was really just kind of one line. But I guess I'm trying to drive the point home here that like there's a lot of different dynamics that I think go into adapting a book series to a TV show. And that's why you have a showrunner. That's why you have those writers. You have those people who have that experience. And sometimes, and again, I don't think it's because anyone's mad at anybody or there's upset, but there may be differences in like how we go about doing this. And
execution, right?
Yeah, it's just execution stuff. And I'm not even saying that's what happened. As you said, maybe they got everything they needed from that resource. Brandon Sanderson was like, I showed up, I gave my knowledge, my 2 cents, and I walked away. And that was it. And then they brought me on when they wanted me, and that was it. I was kind of at their beck and call, and I would come and go.
Consultative.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And it was like, again, it was like, hey, this is what we're thinking. Give us your honest opinion. That's what they're there for. And and then you kind of move on. So I don't know. I'm hoping it's just more like that. I don't think it's anything, major. I think there's just a lot more complexity to it. And I don't think, I like to err on the side of like the spirit of this from what Amazon has showed us, like with the maps and with these casting announcements and stuff, the spirit of it seems like it's in good hands. And it seems like perfect. It's with, so. And
even if you look at like what Payne and McKay said early on, I think one of their first public statements, they said that they feel very much like Frodo and Sam, or I think even specifically Frodo, that they've been given this great burden, and that they want to, they want to see this quest fulfilled. Like that's their goal. Their goal is to execute to the best of their ability and provide us with something that is both entertaining and a wonderful TV show, but also true to the world of Tolkien. We saw like with the whole map reveal thing as well. Like, the very first thing they tweeted, I remember when Kurt Jones was sitting there, right? And it was happening as we were recording. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yes.
It started with a map.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
A quote from J.R.R. Tolkien. Like, I think, I don't know, just that if that alone speaks to the spirit of how they're going about it, I'm not worried. Like you said, err on the side of they know what they're doing. They have the right spirit. I trust them. Like,
sure.
Call me whatever. I feel like it's going to be okay. So
yeah. And again, you like one more thing to those guys, even to both of those groups. Like, you hear something, maybe you want to grasp for straws. Maybe they know more than they're letting.
Yeah,
on.
and they very well could. Absolutely.
They very well could. They're well informed or whatever. And so maybe they're not giving all of those details, and that's actually probably a good thing. I don't think we even I like to think that like the information was given, it was used appropriate, it was all good, professional, whatever, and things like that. So I don't know, it's just interesting.
And even if it is just used to generate conversation, I'm okay with that too. Like, that's fine. That's fine. I think right now it's at a good level. It's tasty. It's kind of like, well, this is interesting, huh? It's a good conversation starter. You can say, like we said, if Tom Shippey's out, how do you feel? If Tom Shippey's just being used for a period of time and someone else is going to come in, how do you feel? If none of it's true and it's just, just sort of to drum up conversation, then that's fine too. So,
yeah. And one more thing too, you do have a lot of experts, I should say, like with air quotes, people who are out there and who know a lot about this, who you can bring in. So like, if there were more in Wheel of Time, for example, if there were more than one Brandon Sanderson, if there were multiple people that you could bring in to consult with.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, bring it in, like, let's bounce some ideas around. I think where there's more minds and stuff. And again, you have to have someone who is running it and who's going to make those decisions. And that's cool. And that's good. And that's what they get. That's why they get paid the big bucks,
Big bucks, baby. Get to be locked in rooms and guarded.
Guarded.
And remember, do you remember the writing, like the list of writers too? It was a huge group of people who've worked on a diverse, a crazy range of shows, and all very well known. So there's a lot of like pieces at work here that I think in the end are going to pay off. But it would be, I don't envy the challenge, man, of like managing all that like really good creativity. Like, sometimes you think, the more creative people, the better. Like, but then I also think, like, holy crap, they all have really great ideas. How do you figure out which one to embrace?
That's right.
Which one to kind of put back? And that's where the job of showrunner and even like, and even working with Tom Shippey, he's like, well, hey, this is what Tolkien said. This even just a little bit violates it. We can't do this. That'd be crazy. So hats off to Payne and McKay. Hats off to Amazon wanting to take this on. Sure, they're going to make a lot of money, but my gosh, like it is no joke. Like, comparing it to Frodo's Quest, I think is kind of spot on, because you've got a lot of hungry fans. Two of them sitting right here.
That's right. That's right.
Thousands of them joining into this book club, and we want our appetite to be satisfied. Like, we're hungry for more Tolkien, and so they've got to deliver. And I feel very good. I feel very confident. There isn't much news because they're not filming right now. They had a planned hiatus, but COVID and the pandemic right now is putting a pause to all kinds of all productions everywhere. So the confirmed 2021 release, I haven't heard anything contrary, but you got to start thinking, the longer this goes on, like, that could potentially get pushed back. And if we remember correctly, they have until 2022 to get this out. Remember, there was a timeline that was contingent. We reported on. We talked about. We didn't report it a long time ago, like two years ago. We were talking about that timeline. They have to get it done within a certain amount of years, and I think 2022 was the cutoff. So it's nice that I'm sure they're thinking now, wow, that's a nice cushion we have, because they haven't finished filming season 1 yet. They've got a couple episodes, I think, pretty much done, but they've got to finish season 1, and then the cool thing is they're already planning and getting into season 2. So it's just, I don't know, it's so exciting, man.
I think it's good. And by the way, too, if they do run up against that timeline or whatever, there are ways technically to run a pilot or run something that would indicate that you have produced something that technically could maybe keep you the rights or something. So there's and I also think they would be
they're in production. So
exactly, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you just have to be doing something with it. And I think they clearly are. And it's exciting. My question to you was, do you think had this pandemic not happened, do you think like at Comic-Con or something, we were going to get like a teaser trailer or something?
Man,
because I think we were getting pretty close to that when you saw the picture of the tree, and I thought, oh boy, this is headed in the direction where we're going to start getting little tiny, not people in costume maybe, or not even any main characters, but maybe just a set or something. And
you brought that up last time, and I think I keep forgetting about, because I keep forgetting about Comic-Con, man. Like, yes, yeah, for sure. I mean, now is Comic-Con canceled? Because isn't it in July or end of June or something like that?
Oh yeah, the big one, San Diego Comic-Con, is definitely
right. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, canceled.
Yep.
You know, we were even talking about Fan Expo. We haven't heard yet, but we're assuming it's also canceled. Especially like if Oktoberfest is not being held, then I'm assuming like everything in between is. I think
Star Wars Celebration is going to be canceled.
Probably be canceled, too, so, and it makes sense. I mean, like that large amount of people coming from. Well, we'll talk about it in a second with LEP3, but it's just not. Stuff, it's not. Yeah, it's just not. Yeah, what is the word I'm looking for? It's not prudent. Right? It's not wise to say, okay, well, you know, there is this stuff floating around. It could flare back up. Let's all get together from all over the world and be in close proximity. I mean, those conferences and expos, you're like packed right next to other people. It's crazy too how this has changed. Like, have you been watching like movies and shows and you're like, oh, they touched each other? Oh
my gosh. Every time I see somebody shake hands, like, I'm always just like, I'm like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. Or I see just different like closeness, proximity, like in their face. Yeah. I've been thinking about that too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nuts.
I do want to mention too, just because I think it's possible. I think these conventions that are happening later in the summer, or even midsummer, have an opportunity to maybe grow their social media, their YouTubes or whatever, by doing virtual stuff, virtual panels and things, to where you don't have to worry about a room full of people. You just have the panelists there, you live stream it. And I actually think some of that stuff may be happening, and it would help maybe their online presence, if you will. Because we already know physically it's a great place to go and do things. But I think artists,
a great point. Yeah.
I think artists will be selling stuff online, running specials and doing things like that. So keep your eye out for that. I've been hearing some stuff on that. So
that's cool. But to answer your question, yes, I think maybe that would have happened. Like some tease of some, or at least a presence. Like maybe JD Payne and Adam McKay would have been there, and they would have run some sort of panel. You know, maybe, I don't know, Jennifer Salk is there from Amazon, or maybe Tom Shippey shows up, or whatever. Whoever's involved, maybe a couple of the actors, the bigger names that we've heard, would be there. Yeah, man. And I also wonder too, like maybe that this time, you know, it's unfortunate that what's going on. It's like it's unparalleled. It's tragic. It's all kinds of different things at the same time. But you also, you know, if you're a writer or you're a showrunner, you might also be thinking like, this is kind of extra time. Like this is extra time where, as a writer, you can be sitting there at home and still communicating with your other writers, still communicating with Payne and McKay, the showrunners. They might be writing stuff themselves. And it's kind of like bonus time. So you know, if they were feeling kind of pressure or the crunch, or now that production has started, it's a different kind of atmosphere, and they feel more stressed to get things finalized. It might be a nice little breather that's happening where they're able to fine tune stuff. So it might end up making for an even better show, which is exciting as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff, man. All right,
that's exciting.
Sorry, I'm loving talking. This is amazing.
No, it's
great. Introvert over here. This is crazy. So in other corners of Middle Earth, we just have a couple things. As you know, we alluded to previously, and as we've announced, unfortunately, you know, LEP3 has been canceled. It's all about everyone's safety. That is the sole reason, but behind saying that we're not going to be able to do this year. You know, we've been talking about it for weeks. Close to, I mean, honestly, it's probably about like a week after all this stay at home, you know, shelter in place stuff happened, that we started having the conversation. We were like, are we going to be able to, because that was the projection of like, hey, it's going to be until June that we're back to normal. But it's going to be until July. It's going to be until August. And we started having that conversation. Then we're like, is it going to be wise to say, yeah, guys, come on, you know, like everyone just coming out anyway, you know, screw science, forget the doctors, let's just, let's throw caution to the wind, you know? So, it's regrettable. We're very disappointed. We had a lot of really cool things planned. My gosh, you know, like the matching tattoos, you know, the night at the village before, the party itself, we were going to work into some different components. We were hoping to have, be able to show off parts of the studio. So it's unfortunate. And hopefully, like, if you had plans and tickets and stuff, you're able to fix that and take care of that. I think a lot of the airlines and even places that are offering accommodations are being, giving some kind of grace with that sort of thing. We experienced it ourselves with Dallas going to Fan Expo. Yep. So hopefully that all works out for you. In the future, the party might even look a little bit differently. We've already kind of had conversations about, if the next one, if LEP3 happens, a year from now or whatever, who knows when? I don't know when.
Sure.
It might even, if the number of people is ridiculous, we might have to move it somewhere else. We're talking about all kinds of stuff,
Sure.
And so, but unfortunately, yeah, that's what we're gonna have to do. And so we want to, just say that it is a bummer. We want to thank you though for thank you for your willingness to even want to come and getting excited about it and offering ways to contribute to the party itself. So it will be a massive bummer that we won't get to hold that this year. But anyway, and there's always the future to look forward to.
And don't worry, because we again, it's just a time period where I think, as Lane is saying, us being teachers too, we've also I have especially been privy to some conversations about what next year is going to look like for our school
beginning
year.
of the school year. Yeah, it's not going to be the same, man.
It's not going to be the same. Our sports schedules are going to be shifted. We hearing all of that, really even propelled us a step further to kind of say, you know what, like, just so people have plenty of time to make arrangements. And I was talking to Lane. It's just such a bummer, and I really was looking forward to seeing everybody. And we had some fun stuff planned. But we have plans to do more in the future, and more conventions that we want to go to and stuff like that. My gosh, we were planning on going down and interviewing some of the Hobbits. So like,
I know, man.
It was going to be a lot of fun. So like, there's a lot of stuff that we're just sort of we're in the same boat that everybody else is in, and we're trying to make the best of it. And I think, as Lane said at the beginning of the show, you focus on the positive as much as you can, and that's what we're going to keep doing. We encourage you to do the same. So
yeah, and the really cool thing is we had the last 2 years. You can't take that away. Like, those were incredible memories. So
that's right.
Also wanted to give an update on the Facebook group. It has a new name. It's now an Unexpected Podcast fan page. So Ez and I, we had this conversation, and we were even talking with Sarah about it too. It was just, we decided we wanted to focus more on producing content, which I know sounds kind of goofy because we haven't released a podcast in a month, but it's been a long conversation. We've just thought, we've got this thing going over here and that thing going over there and that thing going over there. And we just decided, like, it's so funny, like, talk about many partings, and we go back to, an unexpected party and many meetings, right? And all those moments we had where it was literally just you and me, man. Like, it was just you and me, and we hadn't met anyone yet, and we hadn't gotten to know any of you yet, and we wanted to. And also that we've had some reviews pop up lately too that we've read, and some of them said somehow I made it through the first episode, and I don't know how that even happened, but I really enjoyed it. And some of them were like, you had me at minute 5, and I knew this was a book club I wanted to be part of. And so we've really been thinking about. You even went back and listened to that first episode, didn't you?
Oh
recently?
yeah. So first couple, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been on our minds, and we never want to like stray too far from that. I think is really the what I'm trying to say so poorly. So we wanted to get back to it. We wanted to get back on focusing on the book, focusing on show news, focusing on we're getting ready to start on the Hobbit. We're getting ready to move on from that. We're getting to Silmarillion, and we want to be so focused on just that, just the story itself, so that we can be our best. And like managing a Facebook group and doing it well takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of what's it called? Like interaction and presence. And so we just felt like it's something that we could continue to do, but also that some other people could do, probably even with a more singular focus than us. And so it's a great place. There's all kinds of amazing, nothing's changed there. Fantastic conversation going on. Helpful, friends at every corner. If you need anything, you can reach out to people within the group, and just a place of positivity, and that's what we want it to always be going forward. We just want to focus on this, hearing your Tolkien stories and hearing from you through emails and things like that, where it's it's a little more manageable for the two of us. It's a couple of hobbits, you know what I mean?
Hey,
you
right.
know.
So let me just. We've been talking a lot, and might as well. Why break form here?
That phone almost fell again.
Did it really? Really?
Yeah, I pulled a little too tight, my friend.
Oh my gosh. So I was thinking, I was talking to Lane about, just all of this, and I don't know. There is a lot that goes into what we do. We're passionate about podcasting. We love it. We love, the spirit of this and the conversation and digging deep into the text and creating this book club and having this be something that you guys can enjoy. And I went all the way back to standing in Lane and Sarah's kitchen.
Here we go.
And I just could not. I sat there, and being in all seriousness, we posted sort of a like a goodbye to the group and just sort of said, here's where we're gonna be. We're gonna be on the main Facebook page.
And dude, I went minimal, and you went and you just stole.
Isn't that crazy?
You stole the show. You stole my.
That's not
thunder,
normal
man.
for me. That's not
good
normal
Lord.
For me.
It was beautiful. I remember you reading that to me, and I was just like, I'm gonna need a Kleenex or a tissue. Like I'm gonna start crying here, man.
I truly did think back to this time when we were trying to figure out the name of the podcast, and we were trying to, decide what we wanted to do. And we were so passionate, and we were so just giddy with excitement and happy. And there were so many good feels there. And I think about that meeting in the kitchen often, actually. And I think about our setting up for the podcast and the 5 hours it took to set up. And that, there's a testament. I was back listening again to episodes like 1, 2, and 3. And I'm like, man, we took forever. It was not easy to set up and to run and then post and edit and do the thing. So there's just a lot to it. And then it just continued to keep growing and growing and growing. And we also like to reply to people in email, in messages and stuff as much as we can too. And so as the group grows, it just becomes almost like we spend a lot of time, so much time doing that it becomes very difficult to kind of like dig into those notes and really, really get after it like we, used to. And so I think as we were finishing up the Lord of the Rings and about to dive into the Hobbit and stuff, it felt kind of like, we want to get that spirit back and everything. And this was we had some downtime really to think about all these different things too, which was absolutely, kind of a positive or a blessing in disguise, I guess. So
yes, it was. Yeah, definitely. Well said, my brother. That was way more succinct than I was going for. All right, man. I did want to refer back to the dedication of the episode. Our good friend Joe Lewis, and if you've been to LEP1 or LEP2, Joe Lewis. You know him as Bill Joe Baggins. We were talking about him before the episode, just chatting together, and also I actually talked to him last night on a Zoom we had with some old college friends, and he's an amazing human being. I mean, just if you met him, he's one of the most amazing people. A dear friend, incredible. But his grandfather just passed away. I think this last week. I can't even remember days now, from COVID. And so we wanted to give him a shout out. We wanted to give a shout out to or dedicate this episode to his grandpa Jim, and just let Joe know that we're thinking about him. Within the group, there have been many people who've been touched by this, have been affected by this, and have lost grandparents or parents or just loved ones. And so we want to extend our condolences and send our hearts out to you. If this has affected you that closely, and it's amazing, man. This kind of stuff, you really don't. I don't know what it is. If it's a carryover from being a teenager, where you think you're invincible and nothing can touch you, and that you're never going to die, or what. But when things like this happen, and we've never experienced anything like this in our lifetime. It's been 100 years since a pandemic. Mm-hmm. You're like, well, is it like as big of a deal? And then it happens to someone or someone you love, and you're like, yes, this is nothing to take lightly, and it's nothing to joke around about, and this is for real. This is serious, and people are affected all the time. So Anyway, just we want to let you know that we are with you, and and our hearts are with you. So
yeah, we're thinking about you. And I tell you, I'm glad you brought that up, and because truly, I know in more than one way, there's so many people being affected, and truly, Joe, I love Joe, and I'm just so like we were talking, as you said before the show, such a good person, and we have so many good people in our community, and so many just and it's such a hard time for people on different levels, and it's just we've been thinking about you guys, and we know there's a lot going on, so we're hoping as we dive into the the chapter here, we can kind of it's almost like a bittersweet too that we're about to get into too, which is just kind of crazy, right? With this reread. So
yes, it is, my friend. All right, well, here we are,
and it's time for a pee break. So I have been holding.
Whoa! Hold on a second. I
literally am breaking form here.
This has never happened.
This has never happened.
Are we trading places? Like, what is going on?
I have been going crazy, bro.
It's all that seltzer water. It's all that
water, dude.
Maybe I'll get some more water myself.
Yeah,
I think you should play some Lord of the Rings music here, and we'll just disappear.
All right, well, we're back at it. Here we are. That's a first for me. So on the podcast,
I can't believe that happened. I thought you were messing around at first, honestly.
Oh, I know, crazy. But excuse me. Here we are. So into the reread, many partings, and Lane and I were kind of talking. This episode, I'm waiting for Lane to say it. How many times have we said not much? Not much goes like we're
3 hours later. I know
we're into it.
It kind of plays out like a highlight reel, doesn't it? It's like we're going, maybe not a highlight reel. That might be the wrong way to say it, but like it's just we're revisiting where we've been, right? Sure. Yes. And it can be definitely broken up into all these different moments. Did you have ones that were like that you favorited over others before we even get into it? Were there moments that you liked more? Because I have a couple.
Yeah. There were. I mean, if you want the shortest summary that we can do on this, right, which is essentially that this is the goodbyes. It's the long, winded goodbye where we're basically
first half of the trip, or not first half, but first part of the journey home.
Yes, exactly. And so we're going all the way back to Rivendell, and we're along the way. We're gonna have Aragorn's gonna go with us with Lady Arwen, and that's pretty cool. So we're also kind of paying tribute to King Theoden, Lady Galadriel, right?
Yes.
Is gonna go with us, and then they're gonna take the long way back down and go home, and we got to check in on a few people on the way back.
So I got to know though, what were your favorite? I have two favorite moments. What were your two favorite moments?
So let me think. I guess I really did emphasize when Aragorn leaves. I know it's probably gonna be one of yours. Like I thought,
shockingly
is it not? Is it not?
No, it's not. Wow, it's not.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
That is a little weird.
I know.
I did have I was like, oh wow, that's it. And he said something. We're just gonna jump in here. Let's just jump in because I'm gonna get. Hold on. I'm gonna give you my moment, but there's something I have to say because I don't want to forget it. Okay. Get excited.
Calm down. It's all right.
When Aragorn says something to the effect of like the Fellowship of the Ring, this being like this parting of it, and it never being, like together like this again. Right. I was sort of like, wow. Okay, that's something. That this is this larger group that was together. That is not going to be together anymore. It brought me back to Boromir and just so many things that had happened with the Fellowship. And then I thought to myself, but wait a second, we're going back. We're literally mirroring, and we're going right back to how things were when we started.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just it's this perfect little like it's interesting. It started with Gandalf and Frodo, and then it evolved into the hobbits, and then they went and they gathered more as they went, and now we're losing them as we go back. And I was
we are losing them almost in the same order that we got them, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah. And
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that.
I just thought, wow, that's interesting, because to me, I was like, what were some of my favorite parts of this entire series? And it was in the Shire. It was in the Shire. I mean, like, everything does elevate, and I think about life and this great adventure that we're on, and all the people we're going to meet and all the things that are going to happen. But like at the end of the day, like when I want to sit down and I want to just, like, gosh, it's tiresome. It's been a long, hard journey. And these hobbits are ready to go back. Sam wants to check in on his dad. Like, they want to check in on Bilbo. They want to go back, and they want to just be by. I mean, they don't even really know it yet.
They feel like it's time to get back. Yeah,
exactly. And so I'm like, wow, that really struck me as something that, as an overall kind of theme. And so I really felt that in the Aragorn, parting. So
wow, that's deep, dude. That's deep.
I don't know. So that was one part, and then I really did love. Again, when they get back to Rivendell, that's really it. Like when I mean, I know it's not even really like a farewell, but in a sense it is, and it is. Okay. They are, so those were my two big points. I mean, there's other cool things that happened, but to me,
yes, those were your major.
That
takeaways.
We
used to do that. Remember, we used to do major takeaways all the time.
Yeah, and I think those are good. I think it's good to kind of like it kind of.
It's fitting now too, because it's the only way you can get fast, any kind of food at a restaurant is a takeaway.
That's right.
Okay, I love that, and actually, it's a rather fitting denouement, isn't it?
Okay,
like it's a falling action. It parallels the beginning. It takes us back. Wee haw haw. Yeah. So my two favorites, all the stuff at Rohan, at Rohan. Wow, dude.
Yeah.
I'm a noob over here at Edoras, going back into the realm of Rohan, bringing Theoden back. But actually, it doesn't even have anything to do necessarily. If I had a pinpoint in that, it is that moment of just honoring the king, being back at Meduseld, being in Edoras, Éomer becoming king, right?
Right.
The announcement of Éowyn and Faramir's marriage.
Yes.
The joining of these two kingdoms, right? That will forever be bound henceforth. But the moment that hit me the most in that moment was the mention of Arwen and her father going off into the hills.
Yes.
And having a conversation that Tolkien doesn't even lay out. We don't know what it was, but we know that it was filled with
bitter. Right?
Bitter. Yeah. Bitter. It was filled with love and tragedy and essentially a goodbye, of sorts. One of the saddest partings. So that for me, I don't know why. I think mostly because, I mean, that's something we don't really necessarily see in the films. I just think what a momentous moment. Like how crazy. I can't imagine being like, all right, well, Winnie, Charlotte, it's been real. You're not going to be able to go with me. You picked, well, maybe I will, honestly. You picked this guy, so have a good life. Right, it's like, I don't want to think about that right now. But it was also interesting because I found myself going back and I looked through our old pictures from going to Mount Sunday, and I was like, where would that little hill have been? Where was that meeting place? And I looked around at photos. I'm like, maybe it was up there. Maybe I just kind of imagined in the same way that when we were in Rivendell, and I thought I love the thought of Frodo saying, I want to get up into those pine woods and kind of explore that area. He's looking out at this beautiful place, and he goes, I want to go there. It was the same kind of thing of where did that actually happen? Where was that moment held? So that was one of them. And the other one is the interaction with, they've talked to Treebeard, they've gone through Isengard, they've seen it reclaimed. Aragorn blesses the area, right? He says, this will be left to the Ents as long as you guard the Tower of Orthanc and make sure that no one tries to enter it without my blessing. And they come across someone on the road, right? A beggar and some sort of strange creature by his side. And I just thought to myself, I don't know, that moment in and of, because it also, being a reread, we know that it's foreshadowing to something. It's putting a sense of dread that, Gandalf says it, it's. I feel like I fear that Treebeard is wrong. That there is more that he can still do for ill, and we just see this this reluctance of Saruman, this reluctance, dude, to he's extended grace again, and not just by himself, but by Lady Galadriel, right? Like
That's
Galadriel
right.
says, like, turn from your ways and come with us.
That's right.
That's right. And then how even that spurns anger that you always favored Gandalf. You were always trying to turn him against me. It's crazy how this character is so corrupted by that power he had and by his love for power. So those were the two moments for me. I just like crazy moments.
Oh, wow. So I almost feel like,
all right, we're done. We can just be done, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, I honestly feel like a better way to go about this chapter is by hitting some of those bigger moments, because it is sort of a and I guess we'll kind of work our way through this, but I mean, like I keep going back and forth. I'm like, do I want to just walk through this, or do I want to just talk about?
I think also because we know,
I want
like,
to jump right to that Galadriel conversation, because it is very,
I know, dude,
very
I know,
interesting, and
I think the reason we feel that way is because we know for a lot of people this might be their favorite chapter.
Yes, it may.
This might be their favorite chapter.
Yes, it may be.
I don't want to. Okay, so here's something. This might sound kind of ridiculous, all right? Put your book down for a second.
Okay.
Been watching The Last Dance. Okay. And admittedly, Michael Jordan was a childhood hero of mine. He's no longer a hero. I think he's a terrible human being. That being said, he's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Michael Jordan never took a night off because he thought to himself, somewhere up there is a kid who came to watch Michael Jordan play. Came to watch me play. I'm the greatest basketball. Sure. I mean, he's self-aware, right?
Yeah.
And so he always wanted to go out and play his hardest for that one kid. So they could say, I went to watch Michael Jordan play, and he dominated. He didn't take the night off. He didn't sit on the bench. He played. And that's the one thing that I admire about the guy. Like, he took it seriously, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so I'm not likening us to Michael Jordan, all right? You're Larry Bird, and I'm Jason Williams.
Okay.
But, like, I'm thinking the chapter is Michael Jordan. For some people, this chapter is Michael Jordan, right? Like, this, and so we think, man, okay, so it wasn't our favorite chapter. Like, there are moments we took away that are amazing. It's a very linear chapter. Like, it's literally us just following them on their way, and we're losing companions as we go, and we're having some moments of, that are profound. But we think to ourselves, like, we want to do it justice for the people who are sitting here going, I came here for many partings.
Oh, I know.
Exactly. I want many partings blown up.
And you're right. And we literally, it always happens, as we get into these things, there are pretty cool things. Because I just reread something and I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's definitely worth talking about. And I was gonna just skip past that paragraph. I'm like, that was dumb. So
I love it
because there is cool stuff, right? So let's talk about the beginning of this. I mean,
yes.
So Frodo is a ring bearer. You know what?
Yes.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Let me.
Okay, here we go. Come on, Larry.
Scooch up here. Let me get up. Somebody toss me the ball.
I can smell that keto breath.
Come on now. So he's a ring bearer. And so if you really want to cut to the core of this, I think a lot is hinted at and foreshadowed about the ring has been destroyed.
Yeah.
But yet they carry a heavy burden. I'm getting chills.
Does it annoy you when you give yourself chills? A little like it, don't you?
I love it, actually.
Yeah, I do too.
I love to get hyped. I really do.
Yeah.
And I do get, and I want to get hyped, and I guess I'm gonna to get myself going for this chapter. It has always been to me about Frodo, and I first fell in love with Bilbo. And and you remember in Fellowship what I got so excited about and what I got animated and wanted to talk about. Not just Glorfindel, not Gandalf. All right, those two, yes, we get hyped. But Bilbo and Frodo.
Yes.
They are ring bearers.
Yes.
It is a big deal. I mean, Aragorn says in this chapter, like, it is because like they shall have renown. They don't even want it, man. They don't want the renown.
Yeah,
He doesn't care.
I know.
But they will be remembered. Like, and the land is indebted to them. And it's something else. Arwen knows this as well, and she knows. Frodo is kind of struck by the idea that Bilbo did not come to the wedding, that he didn't make the journey, he didn't make the trip.
Yeah. He forgot what was going on. I mean, he just,
why am I getting
Bilbo's lost his
emotional?
mind.
Why am I even getting emotional?
Holy cow! What are you me now?
Hold on, man, because he didn't make that journey. He has one more journey to make, though, right?
Oh God, come on.
He does. He has one more journey to make, and I love that Arwen talks about how the burden, like she goes, it's weird too that she sort of knows that Elrond knows that these other characters of great wisdom and great foresight and great vision, if you will, they can see the toll this has taken, and they understand the weight of being a ring bearer. And so she is saying to Frodo, think about it. That's why Bilbo is not here. And she gives him sort of that
yes.
Right. I mean, she gives him
the Evenstar.
Evenstar to kind of, when those dark thoughts creep back in, right? Here's this is something that, and God. I forgot that she did that actually. And I was like, holy, like, this is a gift. This is a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a representation almost, I might be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, but of her passport to the Undying Lands.
That's right.
It's a transfer of that right, of that entry. It's like here's my ticket. Mm-hmm. You go. Like, I can't go. You go in my stead. Even just the fact that it's, we call it the Evenstar pendant. I don't know if it's even necessarily called that here. I think he just calls it the white gem like a star, but it's implied that it's the Evenstar.
Yes. Yes.
In the films, it's given to Aragorn as a token of, my love, I'll be with you. In the extended editions, it falls off and breaks right before he goes to the Black Gate, causing some, oh man, is he going to be able to, but even the fact that like her name, her moniker, like the Elfstone is Aragorn's and the Evenstar is Arwen's. That idea that it's the Evenstar, right? Night has come.
Yes.
Day has ended, right?
Yes.
Like Frodo's days on this earth, in Middle Earth, in the Shire, being a hobbit, like, are coming to an end. Yep. Like, his evening is here. It's amazing, dude. Like, his time in Middle Earth is coming to an end. And this is the first kind of, I guess, maybe like physical action that kind of puts our mind there. Like, okay, Frodo isn't, like, he's not the same, man.
No.
He's not the same. Like, something's different, and maybe, he is going to take those ships. Like, he's not going to be around.
Right.
Like, he's going to leave. So
yes. I mean, he's forever changed. She sees it, and you go back to that bitter conversation that was had between her and her father, right? About, her giving up her spot, so that he can, because again, like, so much sacrifice, so much that Frodo sacrificed. And you almost think about it.
Like, oh my gosh! So they're parallel characters, aren't they? Almost,
right. And that she is giving this up. And I know in the film we get a lot of it. We're giving it up for this mortal life that she wants to live with Aragorn, right? But again, to heal his woes, if there's anything we could do for Frodo, it would be this, because there's nothing else besides
because like a Hobbit got done what the elves couldn't do.
Yeah,
like,
really,
he got it done when they couldn't. Like, the greatest of elves couldn't figure this out. Like, they couldn't get it done. Wow.
I know. So I just thought it was interesting. It's sort of like, you don't want to understate, like, this big thing that Arwen does, and it's such a huge deal at the end. And you come in out of nowhere, knowing that she's wonderful. And again, you go later on to when Éomer shows up, and he and Gimli are talking about Galadriel, and I'm like, what? Okay, it's
your excuse. You're excused for my part,
right? Because she is that, man. She is something else. Yeah. She is wonderful, and she has such a great spirit.
Yes, but it is also almost like, you think about, she's a descendant of Galadriel, right? She's gonna be a figure in this new world, right? And Galadriel's time is past.
Yep.
And so it's almost another kind of nod to, the things of old are going away. We're in a new age now.
Yes.
And maybe like whatever, however long ago you could have like maybe they would have fought. Yeah, well, Galadriel is. Yeah, you're right. You know, she is more beautiful. And now it's like, oh, there's no question. Like Galadriel is beautiful in every way. But you're right. I my hat's off to you. And this is the lady that gave me 3 hairs, which I still don't know the deeper significance there, but that's fine. Silmarillion will help that, I'm sure.
Yes.
But you're right. Arwen is. I will not fight for that. Like you're right.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the biggest things from this is you start to learn about, because that's what they were looking forward to. I mean, everyone thought Bilbo was going to come and make this journey. Yeah. And then even when they get there, and I'm jumping all around here, but when they get back and it's revealed to them, he's not going back to the Shire.
No,
there's no. I mean,
he's pooping himself. You know, he doesn't even know what day it is. He's falling asleep at a whim.
Well, now hold on though. What's funny too about that, right? He falls asleep.
He comes in and out of it. I know.
One eye comes open, right? And he's sort of
I
like,
know.
I heard you talking about my book. You know, I love Bilbo. You guys know it. But so yeah, that was really neat. So that's the beginning of this, and we're gonna continue that conversation obviously later on and keep talking about it because it is very significant. And we need to remember what Frodo has done, and those around him. Again, everyone played a role. So I know we always really hyper focus. I do, anyways, on this point. But I'm trying to hyper focus here on Arwen and her recognition of the ring bearers and what they've done. She was, you go back to Rivendell, go back with like being around this and knowing the significance of this, and her father being Elrond and like being in on some of those councils. It's a lot. She understands what has gone down, and it's crazy. So yeah. After that, I guess the next big point in this is them deciding that yes, it's time. They all kind of felt this urge to go, and we are going to go pay respects to Theoden.
Yep, homage.
It's right. We have to go kind of take the and so like Aragorn's going to go there, like this whole host is going to go, and it's because again we go back to those chapters, and I do think back to the emotions that we had there where this king fell on the battlefield and another king rose in his place, and just like in the midst of that battle, it's just so unbelievable. So yeah, we have to go back there and we have to kind of
I did also love no sorry just along the way, because we're probably going to jump right into being back at Edoras, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I did love that Tolkien takes a moment to, we don't have to see him, but we know that the Druidon make an appearance. And Hanbury Han. I always say that wrong. Hanbury Han. One of my favorite characters, man. Like they hear the drums, right?
That's right.
And it's like those drums before probably had some sort of sense of dread. Like here, they're paying homage. They're saluting this. They know that Theoden's going through, that the king is passing through, right? And just this cool thing where this is the moment where King Elisar, where Aragorn says, like, these are your lands, no one shall enter them without your leave, and, live free. And so we have this moment happening over and over again, too, where Aragorn kind of blesses these realms, right? He's saying, this is a good place. It's yours. I don't want it. I didn't become king to come take everybody over. So he's doing the opposite of what Sauron did.
Yes.
If you think about it, like he's saying, you're your own thing, and that's beautiful. As long as you do good, boom, do your own thing. Whereas Sauron went around trying to absorb every other kingdom that he could and make everyone one. So very cool.
No, that is neat. And actually right before that too, yeah, the idea that you have this host that's going out with the king for the first time, really, as king, now going back out. And that is sort of maybe important for the land, right? To see him as king and for him to come out and do exactly what he did there, which is
it's the championship parade, man. It's it's LeBron in Cleveland, with the trophy.
Really, it truly is. It truly is. Yeah. He's got princes from Dol Amroth. I mean, he's got everybody. Yeah. He's got a whole host here. So, but yeah. So again, as you say, we go to the Golden Hall and we're going to go here and we're going to have this feast. And you already kind of brought it up, but like a couple things happen at that feast that are really cool. Again, we go over the line. Really, we go over the mounds. We go over like where people are. Well, that's just afterwards. But like, there's this whole
the east
setting.
And the west, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I thought that was really cool, just to tie back into the histories.
It was interesting.
And to talk about this line.
That was broken.
And
right.
like, what? So that was really a cool reminder. And then just the Faramir, right?
Man.
And Eowyn. I mean, that's cool. That was
beautiful.
really cool to see that. And then her interaction with Aragorn was neat as well, just to sort of kind of get that. I don't know. It felt like there was some resolution there between the two of them, and it was good. Everyone was happy. There were good spirits. And
that's right. It kind of he says, what does he say? I've wished thee joy ever since I first saw thee. It heals my heart to see thee now in bliss.
There you go. Yes.
Also interesting to see him, like, as he's become king, using like thee and thou, right? Like that's kind of an interesting language choice, right? He's elevated. He's using higher language. When he was Strider, he wasn't saying thee. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like,
I didn't notice that. Yeah, that's good.
It's interesting. And you think about how Tolkien tells stories through language and through word choice, so that's part of it. I also love, dude. This is a little moment that, like, probably, I had never really taken stock in before, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful to me. Like, again, like the whole focus on music and paying respect through, songs of reverence and through ballads, right? That Gleowine, Theoden's minstrel, after he made the song about about his king riding on his white horse, right? That he made no other song after.
Right.
And the way I take that, I mean, I guess it could be like that day. I take that as ever. He never made another song again. Like, he never wrote a new song ever again. I like to think that the dude never sang again.
Wow.
I like to think that my time as minstrel is done because my master, my king, has left this world. Like, isn't that deep, dude?
I didn't even really catch that. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
That's crazy. Maybe that's not, but I like to imagine that as Gleowine, he's no longer the Lord of the Strings. He puts his guitar down and he goes, or his lute or whatever, and he says, "No more. I shall play no more because
that's the greatest tale you could say." Yeah, exactly. Like, that was right.
That's my piece de resistance. Like that's done. My king is gone. I pass it on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
That's what I would do. And I like to think that, if I pass on, you're gonna put down the mics and you're gonna say, "Guys, it's no more.
It's no more. It's over."
Until Winnie can start reading.
When he comes of age, around, and then
Charlotte can start arguing with her. Yeah.
Yeah. Third grade. All right. Come on.
Yeah. Let's go. Hobbit.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too. And like, so gosh, thinking about, well, okay. So Mary, I want to bring him up here as we talk about Theoden, because
oh yeah, dude, big time.
This was interesting to think about, just the relationship that they had. And you go back and you think about Merry and Pippin being split up, and remember we talked about those times when they were lonely, they missed each other, and it was a time of growth for them. I mean, literally, the ends remind us that they were growing quite.
Yeah, right. That end draft. Yeah,
but like he became very close with Theoden, and I've always really liked their relationship, and he really does. He's crying there, right, as like over the mound, and just weeping, and I thought, these hobbits are really, when they left the Shire, really go back and think and go back and look at like where they were in maturity or just in their thoughts. I mean, they knew this was serious, right? But they're representing the Shire so well. Just they are. So well. In that they expressing their thoughts, showing that their respect for this king. And it again is something that I think Aragorn and others notice and say, wow, like that's a people that we really need to
emulate and to aspire to be. Yeah.
Right.
As a father you were to me for a little while, is what he says. Like, it's just, that's crazy, man. And I mean, you see that too. Like, man, was his armor, was it also like young Theoden's, the armor that he wears?
Yeah.
I want to say it was, right? And it in the same way that Pippin wore the armor of young Faramir, right? Isn't that right? Maybe it's just the Faramir thing, but yeah, like even in that, it's like which is so beautiful, right? Because Theoden lost his son.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yes.
Theoden lost his son, and so and the most unlikely of creature, a hobbit, comes in and if Theoden was there, he'd say the same thing, that you were like a son to me for a while. Like that is an amazing thing, man. I don't go around saying that about people that are, like older guys that I know that are really good friends. Like I can't imagine saying that to anybody. So to say that about someone means that that's legit.
They had a closeness, and yes, and they would talk about going to visit his people one day, and all those things, and just how interested he was.
The tales, he told him the tales, right?
Absolutely.
Of hobbits. Yes. Yeah.
And let him sit beside him and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's really a good relationship and things. So anyways, that is going on now. What I like though, so you have that moment, and then Éomer reminds us that it's very much okay to have a celebration. It's very much, this is something, a life that needs celebrated. They toast, right? People are having drink, and that's sort of why it's okay to announce this happy union, because again, Éowyn was sort of a daughter, right, to Theoden, and
yes,
he would be very happy to know that she and Faramir are going to be together. And I just think that was really kind of neat that you had that moment, because that is, I guess, the way I think about it is that we want to celebrate life, even when life comes to an end. We want to live life to the fullest, and we want to have done everything that we can to where we're at this point where people can celebrate our life. We've left a good testament here on earth, and we've done what we can, and people are going to remember that. Don't mourn. We're going on to a greater, better adventure, and there is that spirit. And so I felt like that was really good. I was like, that's solid. So yeah.
Do you think so? When he goes through, and the minstrel and lore master start going through all of the the kings and the sires. So we have the distinction between the west side, right, and then the line is broken, and the east side. Leading up to, starting with Eorl the Young on the furthest west, and working up to Theoden the latest on the furthest east. I mean, right there's intentionality right there between the directions that Tolkien is talking about, right? Is it because you think of the days gone past as the sun setting in the west, and the newer days, the most recent days, coming from the east? Is that what you? What is, like? How did that stand out to you?
I just thought it was interesting that it was broke, that it was
separated.
There is a reason for it. I guess I hadn't really thought much about what you're trying to indicate there, but you're right. There is this theme of sort of morning and evening in this chapter, and so for that to be detailed to us again. While we're here,
he could have said north and south, you know what I mean, or he could have said north and west. And it's just interesting that he picked the east, being the more recent ones, and the west, and that there was that distinction of the line broken. Man, it's just like, it's so cool, all the thought he put into every single detail.
That's 100% why it's significant to do a reread and to go back and look at those things, because that is, I mean, like he's using not even just the actual lines, but the structure. And just like you say, making that decision of east and west versus north and south. I mean, there's a reason for that. So that's cool. I'm glad you highlighted that. So next, I guess really the celebrating is kind of over. We already talked about Éowyn talking to Aragorn there. And it's time to really kind of move on. So this is where we get a little bit of a separation. Aragorn and his knights and the people of Lorien and Rivendell. Made ready to ride, but Faramir and Imrahil remain at Edoras.
This is coming to my favorite part, man.
Yeah. Arwen decides that she's going to remain also, and said farewell to her brethren. Yeah. None saw her last meeting with Elrond, her father, for they went up into the hill, and there spoke long together, and bitter was their parting, that should endure beyond the ends of the world. It's only one line, but it literally is.
It stuck with me. I mean, it's all underlined. I've got a heart next to it. Like I said, I wonder which hills these, I wonder which hills were these. Like, I don't know. It's so crazy because, that iconic place, that place in the film that we see, Mount Sunday, a lot of people have been there. It's a place that people go to visit. If you love the films, if you love the books, you've been able to go to New Zealand, you go there, right? And it's crazy because when you're on top of that mountain, I can't wait for you to go someday, bro. You look around, and the reason they picked that location is 360, everywhere you look is you feel like you're on a set. You feel like on the world's biggest set in another world. And I just thought, like, what hills? Like, where did they go and have this meeting? Like, what? And I love that it was, no one else was there. No one even saw it. No one saw it. So it's not like they were like, oh, hey, there's Elrond and Arwen. I can't even say their names right now. Wow, a lot of that beer's getting to me. There's Arwen and Elrond up there. Like, what I wonder what they're talking about. That didn't even happen.
Wow, I didn't even
they
really...
went off.
None saw her last meeting.
None saw it.
Elrond.
So I love that Tolkien says you're not even going to hear what they said. No one saw it, so I'm not even going to tell you what they said. And that, to me, when he chooses to do that, like, you look at that and you're like, that's one sentence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that to me is hours. That's hours that could be blown up to what would you say? Like what's Elrond's piece to speak? And what's Arwen's? Like, they knew that this was going to they knew that this was a possibility, right? They knew that there's a possibility that Aragorn and the forces of good would overthrow Sauron, and that she would be able to be united with him. And, you know, I don't know. I know what does a father say to a daughter? What does a daughter say to a father? And bitter, like you said before, bitter was their parting, man. Like, they had such a bond. It's just crazy. Crazy.
Well, I know what you're thinking about is you know, your daughters and the idea that, like, I think about how much my dad, you know, loves my sister, and it's just it's a lot, right? I mean, to be there in that moment, and, you know, it's something that happens that people go through, and it's like it's her saying, Father, this is it, you know, like, I'm gonna be okay. And, you know, a lot of things were probably said. And
jeez,
and that's something that Tolkien is kind of saying. That, again, is something that's private between each and every individual who, you know, like, those conversations take place. And
isn't it like, okay, to not get emotional, so I can come back and be with everybody. Like, I'm gonna look at this analytically. Like, as an author, what he's showing you there too, like, as an author, like, don't try and tell every story.
Sure.
Don't try and blow everything up. Like, leave some things mysterious. The more nuggets, like that is a huge moment, dude.
Yeah.
That is arguably one of the biggest moments in this story. Yeah. And he chooses not to detail it.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And that makes it more powerful, more beautiful, and more relatable. Like, that's just, it's unbelievable, man.
Well, and I think sometimes people will say, you know, why, like, by not addressing something, you do empower it sometimes, and you do. Yep. Like, you can elevate it in some way. It's just a style, it's a technique, and it's a way that I think was used really well right here. Because, again, a lot of we're sitting here thinking about, we could go several different ways with this conversation, or speculate on what, you know, happened and is exactly said, or the dynamics of it, and then, because you throw in conversation earlier in the chapter, and how does that impact this final goodbye? With her gift to Frodo and stuff. So
right.
Yeah, it's a lot. Wow. And it's better. I think it's very good that we just don't, you know, I know other, you know, like, there's speculation and other text and histories and things that kind of give you insights to Elrond's thoughts, but it's great that it's left this way. So
it is. Yeah. Beautiful.
You know, okay. So next now, I mean, we have to kind of say goodbye. Mary is saying goodbye to Éomer and Éowyn, and saying, they want to give him a gift. He wouldn't take one, right? But they're now insisting. Éowyn is insisting that he take this horn, and it's great. It's great. It's very good thing he takes this horn. It's awesome, and it's something that, I don't know. It just kind of gave me chills when I read it again, because I was like, oh yeah, like, the horn, like, sounding of the horn is a big deal, and it is a big deal. This one's special, just in that, like, it'll drive fear into your enemy, but yet it'll encourage, you know, it's a rallying call to your friends, and it's going to inspire them. Right. And it also does.
Yes, it does. Sure does. And it also alludes to that, like, this story's not over yet.
That's true. It does.
This
that
story
right there
is
told us
not over yet. Like, why would you mention this unless this is going to need to happen? Like, if all evil is over and, like, it's all roses from here on out, why would we bring up the fact that, you know, your enemies, right? It's going to instill fear in your enemies and joy to your friends. It's just crazy. And I also think like it's an interesting connection, kind of like indirectly, I guess, that he was one of, he and Pippin were with Boromir as Boromir blew his horn, right? And that was also a powerful tool. And it's just kind of an interesting little connection there too. That
it is.
He ends up having a horn. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's didn't even think of that one. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think about where we are location wise, right? And we're not that far from Helm's Deep.
Right? Yeah.
Right. So Gimli.
We're just going retro, like we're going back through everything, right? It's crazy.
We really are. Yeah.
The reunion tour.
Yes. And so they've decided to go look at the glittering caves, and Gimli is the only one who he takes Legolas, and is the only one who can put into words what that looked like. And I think that was really cool to maybe see like this bond between these two. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes with you, like you and I, we have different interests and things that we're into, and it's like, Lane, you gotta check this out, and you're like, Ez, you gotta check this out. And at first it's like, I would have never checked it out except for our friendship is what draws me to say yes, all right, I'll do it. It's you're my friend. And then I look at it and I'm like, that life-changing what you just
Wait, are you
like,
saying,
whoa,
are you shaking it up? Are you saying we're Legolas and Gimli? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, man. Maybe please let me be Gimli.
We're not hobbits, like what's going on?
No, I'm just saying there's a parallel.
No, I love that their friendship is, they're sworn enemies, they're hated, they're opposites, and how
that
they
does fit us. We are not friends, right?
Oh, we hate each other. Like that's, you guys, come on. We've been teasing you, but it's still at the core. But how they end up, like they depart together. We see, I guess we kind of see that as we go back, like, Éomer and Éowyn, they kind of depart together, and Faramir's there as well. And so there are like almost kind of couples, pairs, 2, 3s of people that we lose at a time, but no two as opposite as these two, right? At least at the very beginning of the journey, and how it's almost like, it's so funny how Legolas and Gimli almost kind of become one character, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't think of one without the other.
Sure.
And I mean, you think about like Payne and McKay, right? Okay, so the showrunners, they're sort of that way too. Like they've worked together for so long that you can't imagine one without the other. And so it's amazing that like their parting almost becomes, instead of 2 characters, you're losing like one. That they're so.
Well, it's because of their differences that they augment each other, right?
Yeah,
so
they do.
And I think that's really neat. And you're right. They do kind of here at the end, as we say farewell to them. First we have to go see Treebeard, but then they're doing this in this pairing and they're together. I mean, you've got Gimli defending Galadriel and like wanting to fight Éomer.
Right.
like all right, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah. So next up, I mean, really, we go meet Treebeard and Quickbeam.
Yep.
And things have changed. Right. I mean,
big time.
Yeah. They're at Orthanc and they're doing, they're guarding, they're cleaning stuff up. Things have changed. They've got the 2 sentinel kind of trees there that are standing, guard, if you will, 2 tall trees.
Yeah.
There. Yeah. At the start of this. And so they call, what's he call it? Treegarth.
Treegarth. That's right. Yeah. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. Sorry. Wayne's World reference. I'm sure Garth means like, home or something in some language. But yeah, it's crazy too. Like, we learn like Treebeard's hatred, right? And his, like disdain of Saruman, how even so it's kind of up for debate, right? Was it a kind of was it a play by Saruman where he knew that he could manipulate Treebeard, or was it more of a pity that Treebeard felt? Or was it both, right? Like, was it both?
Right.
And so it's interesting how before, it just shows that having pity on someone. So this is kind of like the 3rd time we've seen it in major, right? Gollum was one. Faramir with Éowyn is another. Even though he defines that as a different sort of pity.
Yes.
And then here with Fangorn, Treebeard, and Saruman, and how the one time it ends up really, really good, It destroys all evil, right? In the end. The other way, it ends up in a union of two different nations becoming one. And how here, we learn in chapters to come that like this pity he has on Saruman proves painful. It's very painful.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of teaching that like having pity or having like a reluctance to end life is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you then lose all control of what happens after. Mm-hmm. Like it's almost like you don't do it for yourself, right? But you do it so that it's the right thing. But what happens after subsequently is you have no control over almost.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the consequences. It's sort of, I get believing that that good will win out and that people will make the right choices and that people will be redeemed and that they'll come back. And
is there like almost a faith lesson there as well, you think?
Maybe,
like you have to, it's out of your hands kind of a deal, a fate,
sure.
Element takes over. I don't know. Sure. I don't know what he's trying to like communicate there, but it is very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is just sort of, I think, again, it's multiple characters did show pity and they did show mercy, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a good thing. It's something that's elevated by Gandalf, and he does not put Treebeard down at all for that. Like he understands.
Well, when they come across Saruman, they show him the same pity. They give him a chance to rebuke yet again, and he doesn't. Right. Like he doesn't turn from his ways, and so there is this lesson over and over again that it is always the path to take, or it is the preferred path to take. It's always the right way to be. But again, you can't control what's going to happen after. Like sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And, it's very interesting, man.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So you have to kind of, and again, it's what you can control, right? You controlled that action. And, and so it may be, there's still just opportunity, right? There's still in each of these situations, there was opportunity after that whereas if you don't give grace and if you again, I understand there's a limit to these things too, but like that's sort of the idea. That's what we're taught in a lot of we're in a lot of faiths, a lot of different religions and stuff too.
Right.
But even in all of those, there does come a point where that there is a consequence or that enough grace and faith has whatever mercy has been extended.
Yeah.
And then it's so,
I don't want to do this. Like as you're talking, I'm thinking like about there. It doesn't end here. Like I don't want to jump to that chapter, but his demise doesn't come from who it should come from. Well, I mean, I guess you could argue that, but it doesn't come from the people who he hurt directly in that region, right? Grace is even extended to him that there's been enough death.
Yes.
Let him pass. And then the one who, you could almost say the one who ends his existence has the most right to do it anyway. But like, it's so interesting how that again, that is, that's pity shown again. It's like, let him go. Like he did a lot of harm, but like there's been enough death.
That's true. That's a really good, that's going to be a whole other complexity when we get there.
Jeez. That builds into the character trait of Frodo, right? And what he's learned from Bilbo and him honoring what Gandalf has taught him. And man, dude, it's just crazy. And we'll
see, like, Saruman and Wormtongue here in a second. We'll see, what's going on at the end of this chapter. Yeah. Now, another neat point I have to point this out is just that Treebeard is kind of saying to Gandalf, right, that it's almost like I summed it up as if he's like, well, you've been busy. You've been busy as well. And you've done a good job. You've done a good job at it, and your fight is over. Your great command, your great charge.
Yes. You did what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to get that from Eldest was just really cool. I'm like,
dude,
wow.
And it's so cool that that we think like Sleepy Treebeard, he doesn't know what's going on. He does. He knows far more than. I like how we even got. Where did we get his? Oh man, when did he break into full Entish? And it was just a bunch of. Oh,
he's ranting about the orcs, calling them many names, right?
Yeah, dude, that was awesome. It was like the first time we really break into a bunch of
evil-eyed, black-handed, bow-legged, flint-hearted, claw-fingered, and then eventually goes into some Entish that is just
Mori Metis Secunda Whom. It's just like so cool. It's like
right,
yeah.
Yeah, he definitely shows that he's the orcs was having none of it. He was having none of it.
Yeah.
But he does, at this point he's also kind of saying, I love to. He always brings up, don't forget, it's a reminder that the Ents played their part, and that the king of the grasslands, right, would not have had an easy path or an easy go of this had we not have done our part. Don't forget it, and it's not forgotten, and it's I think they're thanked for their part.
And isn't it interesting too? They're focused on they're focused on tales and the lists and the stories that they want to remember. They want to make sure that they are remembered as having played that role.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And so and they're able to do more too, and this is great because again, there's a lot to go around. This is a story about, sometimes we have our favorite character, and we focus on one person and thing. And one person in a story, right?
Right, yeah.
But I think at the end of all of this, one thing you can look back and say is it was about everyone.
Yes.
Like everyone had a part to play. And because, again, Treebeard is kind of saying to the Lord and Lady of Lorien that, because you handled your realm so well, we were able to do more elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of cool.
It's so cool, dude. Yeah.
Because it is like in the end, as much as I focused on Frodo and the burden that he has, that he bore, in the end, I think Frodo would turn around and I think he would say to everyone, "It wasn't about me; it was about all of us," and that's important. So, here's a line too. So again, Aragorn says to Treebeard, "We know it well, and never shall it be forgotten in Minas Tirith or in Edoras. Never is too long a word, even for me."
Yep.
And I thought that was kind of cool, just that knowing how old, and just the way they start to kind of talk about this new age that comes in, and that maybe these kingdoms will outlast
even you.
Outlast,
yeah.
The Ents. So that's interesting. So now we shift.
And then even Treebeard's look afterwards, that he gives him kind of almost a cunning look, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Very interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So now we shift to this whole conversation. We kind of touched on it, and we'll just do the highlights of it. But essentially, Treebeard was essentially telling these super long, the tales that he doesn't tell Merry and Pippin and Tish, and going on and on and on forever. He does with Saruman, because he knows that we're a hasty folk, and it's almost torture.
We got stuff to do, right? Yeah.
Yep. So, but this is where we learn. Gandalf sort of says, "I hear you speaking in past tense, really," and that this is something that, where is Saruman? Is he here? Is he alive? Is he dead? And he's been gone 7 days. Man, I let him go. There was little left of him when he crawled out. And as for that worm creature of his, he was like a pale shadow. So. Now, do not tell me, Gandalf, that I promised to keep him safe, for I know it. But things have changed since then, and I kept him until he was safe from doing any more harm. You should know that above all, I hate the caging of live things.
Yeah.
And I actually think, again, Tolkien's doing a lot there and talking about
a
really big issue and something that we
is.
have going on in our modern world. And I think
Tiger King, baby.
Dude, I couldn't emphasize that enough. I was sort of like, wow. I mean, that's you got to understand where Treebeard is coming from, and Gandalf does, right?
Yes.
But he does, but he is still saying, he still does have
one tooth left.
One tooth left. Yeah.
And poison in his voice. Yeah.
One tooth Saruman is sort of what who he is now. So and then he says, but he does have that the poison in his voice, and maybe he persuaded you. And as you said, it's both. I think it is sort of both, right? It's that Saruman has that cunning, but at the same time, it's totally understandable as to why this was done. It was eating Treebeard up that he had caged this individual, and he felt like he was safe as far as he could tell. So and again, these hasty folk are again, it's, I don't know, he doesn't spend a lot of time with them. They're hasty, so it is what it is.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. So they talk a little bit more just about how the Ents and what they've done with the valley, and how basically that they're going to continue to keep watch over this. and that we want the Tower of Orthanc to be locked up, right?
Yeah. And giving that realm to the Ents as well.
Yes.
Or, Orthanc, that area, the valley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And really, it's just that the tower is to be there, and Aragorn sort of says that's for later. We'll talk about that. They have the keys. It's locked up, and no one is to go in there without the king's sort of permission. So yeah, that was good. Now, here we go.
And then that quick sadness from Treebeard as well, that there are no more Entings, right?
That's where I was going.
Okay.
I mean,
and then but that little
song, because
I know. But then again, like Aragorn remaining true to who he is, right? Hopeful, right? Estelle, hope, that he says, there may be more hope in your search, that lands now lie open to you eastward that have long been closed. He's saying like, you might find, the Entwives and have some more Entings. And right. Treebeard, he just shakes his head, and this is almost kind of funny because it's feeding into what Gandalf said, that like, these, this memory of what you've done and never being forgotten might actually outlive you, because he's, himself here just kind of like elaborating on the fact that like, we probably won't ever find the Entwives. Like, we are the last Ents, that there are no new Entings.
I get it. And so it's like, don't forget that the Ents played their part.
Yeah.
Because this could be it for us.
Yeah. This is it.
And we want the songs to be sung because we did. And we lost. And I think it's more too that Treebeard is speaking on behalf of those who he has lost.
And
that they have fallen,
for
right?
sure.
It's not about him.
And
it's
even
that.
Maybe even those Ents that fell asleep, right? Like those trees the Ents that became, the trees that grew sleepy, right? That lost their Entish ways. Yeah, dude, for sure. Yeah. You want to be remembered, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, this is where we go again, now back to Gimli and Legolas, where you talk about ways being open. Now they are able to ask permission to go into Fangorn, and they're able to, see these great trees.
Yeah. Saw the caves. Now we got to see the trees.
Yep. And Gimli's like, come on, like rough, which is who he is, right? I mean, you knew we were going to be kind of arguing about this, but it's like, come on, man. Legolas went and saw, the glittering cave, so let's go. And he I think it's just sort of for show, but he does a little bit sort of and then he goes. So he agreed to it with no great delight, it seemed. But I think truly he was delighted. It's just sort of All right.
But the end of the Fellowship, right? This
is it. I wrote wow next to this. Wow. So here at last comes the ending of the Fellowship of the Ring, said Aragorn. Yet I hope that ere long you will return to my land with the help that you promised.
Man.
Like, wow.
I almost feel like isn't it interesting too? You'd think like Aragorn would feel fulfilled. He would feel like, hey, here I am. I made it. I did what my ancestors could not, or weren't able to, or didn't have the opportunity to. Again and again, like he didn't want them to leave Minas Tirith. He delayed that as long as he could. Here he is saying, like he's the one who says, here's the end. Like, but I hope that you can come back as soon. He seems the most saddened, I think, by the breaking of this fellowship. Like for him, it was all about, and maybe because he was kind of like this ranger, and especially in the films, like outcast, right? And didn't know or knew that his path was a hard one. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think he relished the fact that all these individuals were able to come together, bind together from different parts of Middle Earth, and accomplish a goal and remain true to each other. And it's don't you feel like that? It's hardest on him, this breaking.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think what he sees in the Fellowship is that, as you say, it was all these different, groups coming together, and they helped him do what he needed to do, which was to heal the land, and to bring these individuals back. Because actually, Gimli and Legolas are reminding us right now that there are other realms, and there are other, leaders that they basically, if they are given leave, yes, they will return. But he is king, but yet he is, and so. He did a great thing, but they must go back to their own lands and there be, governed and things and play a role and really take back the spirit of this and go see what hurts have befallen their lands.
Yeah.
And do what they can. But yes, he does I think really see that like this was very significant, and they all, again, they left, and that's the other thing too, is that they left their land to come help restore, to destroy the ring,
right?
And then in part to restore this great, the northern and southern kingdom, to really bring those together. And everyone knows that that is what's at the core of Middle Earth. That is what's going to be important. There's a new king in the land, and when we say king, we mean king with a capital K. So
right, yeah, baby, don't forget
seriously, we really do. So, but again, it's just sort of a reminder that they're going back home, and that they're hoping the way is safe now, and they will come back when they can. Although Aragorn says, or they say, but I fear that we shall not all be gathered together.
Oh my gosh,
again,
man.
like maybe all of them together. They might come at separate times and have get-togethers and stuff, but maybe never again. And,
it's an interesting parallel I thought of when I read this. I put a little heart next to it because I thought about the actors, right?
Yes.
And in the appendices, there is a really cool. It's in the Return of the King appendices when they finish filming, and they do all of these like goodbyes for all of the actors and actresses, and it was like they were given gifts. And like even in the instance of like Aragorn, Viggo's last day, Bernard Hill's last day, they did a haka for them. They presented them their swords. They did these goodbye thing. You know what I mean? Like, how much of this did the actors feel? Like they had to sit around and go like, all right, this is the last time. Like we're gonna have careers and families and things that take us in different directions.
That's right.
At the very least, we'll never be the same people again. Like when we see reunions, right? It's like most recently it was 3 of the Hobbits. It was Viggo and it was Orlando, but Ian McKellen wasn't there.
Right.
John Rhys Davies wasn't there. Sean Bean wasn't there. Like, it would be interesting to know when the 9 of them were together last.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to, if someone knows, like let us know, because that,
and I know
would
that
be interesting.
They actually they bought like a big home to Shire in New Zealand, but still, I wonder how many of them have all I wonder if they've all been there at the same time. Like, when was the last time the Fellowship was together? Isn't that interesting? Like that
it is.
It's amazing how that parallels what happened with that group of actors, the friends they became. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is all those. That's why these partings, like you have the many meetings, you have many these partings. It's so sad because we'll never have this group again.
Never again.
Maybe together exactly as it was.
Yeah.
This person will gather here and there and so on. Yeah, you're right. That's the interesting part to reunions. And as time passes, and you lose someone, and then you're never able to get the same group back again. But I believe, right, that the spirit of all of those individuals can be together, and they are carried on through each other. So, and
even who they become in their own right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So next up, we have Treebeard kind of saying goodbye to Celeborn and Galadriel, and just and that's sort of interesting, and kind of thanking them. Gosh, they talk about a meeting in a different way, in a different place. This is like maybe the end here in this world. Like they may not see each other again, but a different type.
Dude, this was crazy, man. Right? I blew this up just because I don't know. I know that we get more Galadriel and Celeborn and elves in the Silmarillion, obviously, but like I can't get into them. I've tried really hard to get, but they freak me out. I kind of feel like Boromir a little bit. Like they scare me. Yeah. I don't know why. They just scare me. But these two different answers, right? Like Celeborn saying, I do not know. And Galadriel having a much more certain answer, right?
Yeah.
Celeborn says, sure. I don't know. And Galadriel, and maybe this is to show that Galadriel's far wiser. I don't know. Not in Middle-earth, nor until the lands that lie under the wave are lifted up again. Right? And that's alluding to the flooding of Middle-earth that happened, correct? Yeah. And that will be undone eventually.
Yep. Possibly.
Then in the willow meads of Tazarinen, we will meet in the spring. Like, so she knows. Like that's it's where it's going to happen. but
what
not
is
until
she
then.
seeing in that mirror, man? What
Bro,
is she seeing? Like,
is there a Palantir there?
what's
I don't know.
going on there, man? Yeah, yeah. So it just adds to the mystery of them and amplifies them in a way that I think is really cool.
Definitely.
And they're very mysterious, and I hope we get to learn a lot more about them in the
They still
show,
freak
and
me out,
then
though.
just
Yeah.
in general. Yeah, super
Yeah.
cool. So
Yep.
now it's time to say goodbye to Merry and Pippin.
Yep.
And so Treebeard kind of takes them off to the side and notices that they've grown a bit. Here's the thing. I think about this. So it's sort of like it's like going to your buddies you haven't seen in a while. It's like, hey, fellas, let's sneak over here. You would get one more quick little. Let's get a last little toast in, because I know you guys are about to leave. Let's go over here and have us one last little memory.
Yeah.
You know, one little thing that we can share together. And I was like, wow, you know, like, let's go. They had a great time with him. He was a friend.
Yeah.
They befriended him. It just, again, they represent the Shire so well. And I'm so proud of them.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting too that like talking about how they've grown, right? And isn't it kind of alluded to that's like the physical form, like from the Ent draft, right?
Yes.
Isn't that what the illusion
is? That's what it is.
So, but I think to myself, there's another meaning there too. Like, I think you could argue that of the 4 hobbits, the 2 that grew the most in terms of, like you said before, maturity, stature, connection with the world, representing the Shire, are those 2 hobbits.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
So maybe Fangorn Treebeard is seeing their physical growth, but maybe being the wise being that he is, he's also seeing like you've become such like deeper people. Like you've seen battle. Like one of you took down the Witch King, the other of you was at the Black Gate, you know, and you saved Faramir. Like they accomplished things in Middle Earth that you never could have told them back in the Shire, and they'd go, "Oh yeah, sure, of course, I'll do that someday." Like whereas I think you could argue that like Frodo, he goes through the most probably, but I think he's a pretty steady character, right? Yeah. Samwise, same way. Like he shows his character, but that's who he's kind of always been. Maybe not always, but like from the beginning to the end, they don't change. They don't grow as much as the 2 younger hobbits. You know what I mean?
I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah, is that all of them did to some degree, but these 2 more. And that's a good thing. It's great. Because they had more to develop. There was more, like they needed it in a sense. I don't know. So it was good. And I agree with you. Yes. So now, last little thing that he says, though, he does remind them that when they go back to their land, right, to keep an eye out for the Entwives.
The Entwives, yeah.
Because he's been very curious about their, you know, the idea of this old forest and these different places. So definitely keep that in mind when you're out there. Send word if you see them.
Look for my ladies.
Right.
Yeah.
So all right. So now they ride on with more speed, and they make their way towards the Gap of Rohan, and Aragorn took leave of them. At last, close to that very place where Pippin had looked into the Stone of Orthanc. The hobbits were grieved at this parting, for Aragorn had never failed them and had been their guide through many perils. So it's kind of a little funny here for Pippin, like wishing that they had a stone that they could see across great distances, kind of like what we're doing right now.
I know, right? You know? Yeah, it's amazing.
So, what was Tolkien doing there? Was he foreshadowing?
He was
modern day, you know.
I also love that, like Pippin's, his thoughts are always so. They seem like kind of, I don't know, like childish, but in the best ways, right? Like what a beautiful thought. Like, and he's the one that has that thought, or he's the one that thinks I'm gonna be either foolish enough or brave enough to speak this thought. Like,
that's true.
That's what they're all feeling. They're all feeling that. Like Aragorn said it, a couple pages ago, where he said, like, this is the end of the fellowship. Like, come back as soon as you can. I'll miss you. Like, I don't want to let go. And Pippin's voicing here, like, it's too bad that we can't just look into a stone and see. And it's also interesting that, like, this is where he leaves them, and that's the stone he used to confront Sauron as well. Like, that's also very interesting, man. That's very interesting.
Right. Yeah, it is. I like what you're saying though, is that Pippin has that spirit that we want. Who's the person who's going to speak up in the group, and even Pippin. If it's something like that, you're afraid to say it because you're like, is this, that we always get as teachers, like, I don't want to ask because it might be a dumb question. It's like, man, everyone was begging for you to ask that question, and they want to say the same thing, and so it may seem silly to you, but it's definitely important. So
and brave, very brave.
Yeah. Okay, so now here we go. This is where Aragorn also had to take leave of Celeborn and Galadriel.
Yeah.
And Galadriel says to him, Elfstone, through darkness you have come to your hope, and have now all your desire. Use well the days. That's a good one. Use well the days, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Now this one was something I have a question mark next to it. So Celeborn said, Kinsman, farewell. May your doom be other than mine, and your treasure remain with you to the end.
So here's what I don't understand, Ez, and I want to ask you, bro.
Oh boy,
are Celeborn and Galadriel happy together? Does it seem like am I like reading the wrong way? It just seems like to me that's like, bro, you're with the girl you love. Like that's awesome. May your doom be other than like being stuck with Galadriel like me because I don't really like her. Like what is the dude, it has baffled me from the beginning. Like what is the nature of their relationship? And I'm hoping the Silmarillion, and some of you are probably going, gosh, Lane, just read the Silmarillion or like get curious and look online. But I kind of want to wait. But like I wonder what is the nature of, and maybe he's talking about something else. I don't know.
Again, that's why I have a question mark next to it. Is may your doom be other than mine, and that's, I think, a good thing. I think it's one of those things where it goes back to elves sort of understanding that at the end of this life, that's different. That was something that they don't understand. It was they don't gift. Have death. It's a gift that was given by Iluvatar, and it was just like, wow. So what? I don't know. That's what, when I heard doom, I thought maybe that's where this is heading. So if people have thoughts on this, I have a question mark next to it because I was sort of like, wow.
I have what question mark exclamation point. Yeah. And they're both so different. Like that's the other thing that makes me wonder.
Yeah.
In all these responses, right? Celeborn and Galadriel, like Celeborn goes, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever see each other again. Galadriel goes, I know when it's going to be, but it'll be a long time. And here's where it's going to happen. They're again, very different here. Like she talks about, oh my gosh, dude, we could probably talk 45 minutes just about their two lines, like compared to each other. She calls him Elfstone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. And then reminds him of the darkness, right? And that's interesting because if you use your days well, you should remember that darkness, right? Because it's exactly, forgetting the darkness is exactly what got Gondor into the position that it was, correct? Right. So don't forget it. Don't forget when you were the ranger. Don't forget your days, in exile, right? And then it's interesting that Celeborn addresses him as, he says kinsman, right? Which makes sense, Yep. I don't know. It's just very interesting.
Yeah, it is. So I would love to hear people's thoughts on that because it is.
And your treasure remain with you to the end. Yeah, dude. What the heck?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. All right. So we'll leave that there. And because we're moving on to this parting wherein they part, and this is something that kind of we've seen this before. I mean, you could almost go all the way back to Goldberry, and standing on a hill, and seemingly holding something aloft, or just.
Or the file of Galadriel, or just these lights. Yeah.
And just that, and saying farewell, the way they do it. So this is again, they Aragorn just stands there and he's there, and the sun is shining behind him, and it's sort of painting this. He's the king, man, and this red gold white mantle is there that kind of turns him to flame.
Yeah.
And then Aragorn took the green stone and held it up, and there came a green fire from his hand.
It's just so interesting that like the what's it called? The figurative language that he uses, right? Like the flame, the fire, the colors even of like Anduril, like that hope being reborn, rekindled fire. Yeah, crazy. And then, man, they missed out on this greenstone, dude. It would have been such a cool thing to incorporate into the films. I don't know why they didn't, but especially with New Zealand jade being like such a prominent rock. It's just baffling to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Wow.
So yeah, I think moving on next here, we kind of have basically they come across Saruman. He's next up, and it's as they come across him, he looks like this beggar. He does not look like anyone of old.
Right.
So Saruman said Gandalf, "Where are you going? What's it to you?" He answered, "Will you still order my goings? Right? Are you not content with my ruin?" And Gandalf just, come on, buddy. The answer is no and no, right?
Yeah.
And he does. He wants to show him. Gandalf is again trying to show him wisdom and mercy and trying to give him the second chance. Yeah. And that it tastes bitter to Saruman. He just has so much pride, and he was in such hubris. A high position. Yeah. Yeah. And to fall so low, just no. And then is trying to turn this on them, like you're gloating, you're making fun of me now. Right, like when I've been cast down and I'm in this lowest spot, you're trying to whatever. But it really is this sort of lesson that, like, if you would humble yourself and if you would kind of maybe try to make up for things, because it's not like I think even Galadriel and Gandalf are hinting at here that, like, there's still good that can be done. You can play a part, and you do have skills. There are things about you that are very that we could use, and again, that's what Gandalf was saying as they were going to battle, and he offered him the first time this chance.
Can you imagine, like, what? Okay, so what if? So I've been listening to Hyperspace Hangout. All right, I'm gonna do a little mid. We usually do name games, so I'm gonna do a mid or last quarter of the chapter, a little plug. Okay. I've listened to Hyperspace Hangout. I've been listening to the hypotheticals, right, of Sir Matt Starwind. Yep. And I've also been listening to Contingency Plan with our man Dave. Yeah. Fogel, our brother, and his brother Austin. So I've been really getting into Clone Wars and stuff. Anyway, whatever. The hypothetical of, could Ahsoka have turned Anakin? So I want to ask you, in the spirit of Matt, right? Yeah. Like, what in the world would it have been like if Saruman and Gandalf would have fought side by side? Can you imagine? What if he would have turned way back? He's up in the tower. Isengard is destroyed. If he would have said, "Gandalf, my friend, I've done wrong. I will come down to you." Yeah. They joined forces. Like, what would that have been like? I literally have thought about it. I'm going to be honest with you. I have thought to myself what it would be. I mean, one of the first thoughts I always had was about Radagast and him possibly coming with them and being more involved. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. I always wished I could see that. But now, as we speak about this order of wizards, I'm just like, could you imagine? I know, dude. I mean, and then again, that's the irony of it, right? The shame of it is that there's 5 of them. And none of them team up, and the only 2 that do team up, they go off east and are never heard of them again. They can never get on the same page. If they could, it would have been easy. It would have been easy. It would have been easier, I would think. Man, it's crazy. Yeah. Now I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, and I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna do this with Gandalf, and maybe this is a bad idea, and I might would just it have hurt Gandalf somehow. Okay. Well, I'm gonna say this might be self-destructing here. I'm gonna do this right on the podcast, but. What if, by Gandalf sort of, I understand that he sees that Saruman is not taking these things serious. He didn't believe the ring could be found. He didn't whatever, but yet was seeking for it. Like, by not confiding in him and by doing his own thing and by not doing exactly what you said, not including him in his counsels and things like that. And again, I don't know much, maybe there is more to it, like where he did kind of go to him and say, because we do kind of get some of that from the Hobbit, and we do get indications in the history text that, like, maybe there is more conversation that went down between the two, and because Saruman says that Galadriel always preferred the White Council, his schemes over his whatever, his plottings and stuff, and it's like, man, did Gandalf drive Saruman away? I'm just playing, devil's advocate, but like that's a what if you can think about for a second is that because they could have worked together. Man. Like and Saruman is trying in the wrong way, trying to
again, I'll go back to my favorite meme of all time now, that dog with the long hair and Saruman saying, how does he say it?
We must join him.
We must join him, Gandalf.
Yep, that's right.
we must join him.
With Sauron.
But yeah, so that was Saruman reaching out to Gandalf, but
yes,
did Gandalf do the same?
Gandalf do the same thing. Yeah, like I wonder, like if when we can kind of go back and explore, like the White Council, was that how it was kind of, or did Tolkien even detail that? Like that is fascinating, and you also wonder, like, like the very nature of the Istari, is it almost too much power? Like, are they able to coexist?
Separate?
Right,
yeah, exactly.
right, yeah. Like, did they send 5 in the hopes that like 1 would accomplish the task, and that's why we sent 5, because we know that like they're not going to be able to do it together. We're going to increase. I don't know. Like that's very interesting to think about.
That is interesting, right? So
yeah,
it really was Gandalf who kind of fulfills the mission of all the Istari. That's so crazy.
Yeah, because like, what if? So maybe the lesson with the Blue Wizards, right, is that they hung out together, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if they do intermingle like that, they get so lost in each other that they almost maybe become kind of Treebeard like, and it's like, well, I mean, the cares of the world, whatever. Like, we're powerful, we're fine. Like, would it almost make them more kind of apathetic? I wonder. That's very interesting, dude.
Yeah, that is because they're meant to be these guides and not to reveal their full power or to use it, etc. So, which I always go back to Gandalf facing down the Balrog, and I'm just like,
oh my gosh,
man, dude. look out, like, oh Lord.
Word of command on that door.
Yeah, holy crap, you, dude. Take me back. But yeah, no, I like that. This is a perfect time to talk about a what if situation with those individuals. And again, even now, they're asking for him to kind of give this up, come back. And there's more work to be done. There's healing that can be done. You can be a part of that. Yeah. You know, his evil, like what Saruman got involved in, seemed to. I get that it was there and it had been around, or maybe had been gotten root in him maybe a while back, but yet his true evil. I mean, like him participating in this is recent. It's recent, and it was quick. It was exponential.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, look. I mean, we get that. We understand that we got the context on this. We're trying to offer you a way back.
But that also makes sense too, like you said, because it was recent and relatively and quick. It makes sense that he would dig his heels in, doesn't it? Right?
It does. It
takes time to reflect, to go, yeah, I was wrong. Like because it was such a seemingly like sudden snap that he is more resistant, even probably, because you don't like, no one likes to do one wrong thing and then go, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it takes a while and you go, yeah, I was kind of a jerk there, or I didn't try my best, or I was with the wrong crowd. It takes some time to realize that yourself. Yeah.
I've always said you should sleep on things, and we should like I get an email from whoever it might be, and they're upset at work or whatever. I always say sleep on it. Like just
take your time.
Don't reply right away. And I actually think about Saruman being there, and what Treebeard was saying is that he was giving him news, and that news seemed to kind of continue. It wasn't news that he liked, and he was desperate for. He wanted more and more of it, but it wasn't to his liking or his tasting.
Yeah.
It's like, had he been just left alone to his own thoughts and not been dwelling on the news and getting updates, maybe he would have turned his mind inward and thought more about himself versus these events that are going on out in the world. And that might have made the difference. Not that Treebeard's at fault or anything at all, for that, but it's just sort of like, he does need that time to reflect and to think, and maybe this is too abrupt and it was too early, but
yeah.
All right. So yeah, let's move on past that. Then they kind of, and there's a bit where Wormtongue is there, and there's this bit where Mary offers him some of his
pipe weed,
right, and the term thief is brought up, and it's just kind of ironic, right? It's tied back to the Hobbit, it's tied back to Saruman and what he's doing, and everything, and really it belongs to the Hobbits, and it's just crazy, kind of very ironic. So yeah, they are there. Let's see. Oh, and he's basically kind of saying like I mean, Saruman is just, I mean, he's just pouting like crazy. He's just super.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Like almost if he were cursing, he'd be cursing at everyone here. He's just super mad. He's not content with anything. He's very upset with Wormtongue, and then he's like almost cursing, long may your land be short of leaf, and just in kind of calling these things out to Merry and the other hobbits. Merry though turns, thank you, right? He's they don't really seem to be quite fazed by it. They're trying to keep some humor and some comedy, and that's also a crazy thing too, right? Development wise, that they're standing, in front of this wizard, wizard, who would have scared the daylights out of them.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that is an interesting flip of power, right? Like, you've got these hobbits who he disregarded in a place of power, right? Not abusing it, and he's in this lowly state, still clinging to whatever power he has, which is in this case is just literally, like you said, him pouting. That is amazing.
Yeah. So that's definitely the growth there for them. There's some back and forth here though. So Pippin, Saruman first says one thief deserves another, and turned his back on Merry and kicked Wormtongue and went away towards the wood. Well, I like that, said Pippin. Thief indeed. What of our claim for waylaying, wounding and orc dragging us through Rohan, right? I mean, so kind of going back to like, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
We get a punch each. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you forget about that? I mean, so.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. And this is where.
Yeah. Those things that it's so interesting. Like, I wonder if he said those things about, well, he probably did it intentionally, I'm sure, but just the fear he kind of puts into Sam and Frodo as well. It is interesting that like Merry and Pippin are kind of handling this with more like humor, like, oh yeah, like where are our punches, and yeah, I'll have my pouch back, sure. And it's Sam and Frodo who are like, I don't like that, South Farthing bit, and we should get home quickly, but I want to see Bilbo first. It's they're you can tell that their journeys were different. Like,
yes,
while both pairs of journey, like Merry and Pippin's versus Sam and Frodo's were equally, you could say equally important. Like the things that they accomplished were all incredible.
Yes,
like the tone here, even like Merry and Pippin have grown up, but they're still comical. They're still younger. They still have a kind of like a take the pee attitude, right? A little bit.
But it is the two. I see what you're saying. Is that Frodo and Sam are the ones who keep bringing up, but it's time to go home. I want to get back. And
it's that, like, while I think like Merry and Pippin are like, well, whatever. Like I'm not going to be afraid of anything Sauron's going to say. It's Frodo and Sam who go, oh, that is, I don't like what he's saying there. That might be, yeah, that
could be bad.
Could be some truth to that. Yeah.
Yep, they're seeing the foreshadowing there. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the line. So I fancy he could do some mischief still in a small, mean way, and that's Gandalf kind of talking about,
kind of validating that. Yeah,
about what could happen. So I guess let's move on down here to the farewell between Celeborn and Galadriel, and just really that it's time for them to say farewell.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
And that they had journeyed. This was interesting to me. So the reason that they had journeyed thus far by the Westways was so that they could speak with Elrond and with Gandalf and linger in this conversation with friends. Here we go. Often, long after the hobbits were wrapped in sleep, they would sit together under the stars, recalling the ages that were gone and all their joys and labors in the world, or holding counsel concerning the days to come. Now, this is very interesting. So if any wanderer had chanced to pass, little would he have seen or heard, and it would have seemed to him only that he saw gray figures carved in stone, memorials of forgotten things now lost in unpeopled lands, where they did not move or speak with mouth, looking from mind to mind, and only their shining eyes stirred and kindled as their thoughts went to and fro.
I'm not sure if this is supposed to creep me out, but I'm never going to look at a statue the same way again. Ever.
I was like, again. Wow. I was so, I read that. I reread it and I kept going, wait a second. What?
Yep.
I mean,
yep.
And I do get, it's a visual, there's imagery there, and
sure.
And it is interesting. It's very interesting. It's beautiful, and it's also eerie, as you say, in a way.
Yeah.
It's also almost something that is amplified because, again, as you say, no one saw it really.
Yes.
But
if you
our
were
author,
to, yeah,
our author is telling us that it did happen. And
yeah,
even if you did see it happening, you wouldn't quite have understood what was being communicated
what's
between
going
those
on,
great
right?
individuals. Well, it really, and you think about it, like our friendship, right? And I think many of our listeners, right, have these friendships where it's so, you've had so many adventures. This is, again, the council. This is the council saying goodbye to each other and maybe never seeing each other again. And they've done great deeds, and they've been with each other for so long that they're thinking about all of that. They need to just glance and look and sit and be in each other's presence. And Gandalf doesn't need to say that Elrond is thinking about this or that or whatever, but they are all thinking about what they've accomplished and these things, and that you can almost like see it in their eyes. And they can sense it of one another. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. Yes. Yeah. And I think no, absolutely right. Like the implication is if you're, when you're close enough and you've been together long enough that you don't even necessarily have to speak, right?
Yeah.
And I think maybe the illusion here is that they're able to like telepathically communicate, or maybe not. Maybe it's just literally, you're right. They're just sitting there, don't even have to say a word, just being in their presence, being in each other's presence. Yeah. Sure, you could. And then but the flip side to me is like how reassuring is it to hear like inflection and see facial expressions and show like emotion that way. So it's very interesting because I think like hobbits wouldn't get that. They wouldn't get that. That would be like something so foreign. Like, what do you guys? Where's the songs and the drinking and like why is no one laughing or farting or like what's going on? Like, you know what I mean? It's just it's almost like an elevated or ethereal form of communication and maybe that's why it's it is beautiful, but it's also kind of a little like unsettling. You're like, whoa, like I can't comprehend. Probably the closest I get, I would think, is maybe like glances with me and Sarah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That would probably be it.
Right.
Maybe the girls too. Even like sometimes we will look at each other and I think, okay, we're on the same plane. You know what I mean? We've had moments like that before. We're just always talking so much that there's always talking, right? But yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like maybe we catch glimpses of that. Okay, like today, my parents came over and ate dinner, and they were sort of like on the other side of the fence. Anyway, we were playing with the girls on. I call it grandparent zoo time because like people come over and they kind of watch us, and we're like the monkeys, Yeah. But we're playing, and I caught glances of my dad, my mom, like looking at the girls, and I thought, I think I know what they're thinking. Like I think that they're caught up in this weird mixture of memory of me and like my sister maybe and their time as parents, and that's mingling with like present day, like what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And those are ethereal moments, man. Those are things that, like, my dad even texted me later tonight. He's like, I'll never forget, what happened tonight. Like hearing when he say, "Come tackle me, daddy," and the memories that it brought back to me. And so
Yep.
It's got to be like that kind of a thing, right? Like we catch glimpses of it, but here they are sitting for hours and hours and hours, like almost meditated in that state. It's crazy.
It's way amplified.
Yes.
I want to get on this. I want to get in on this because this is actually really interesting. So just to make a personal connection to the text, my dad and I also, there's a lot of times where, as you just said, will look at me, and if there's ever here recently in the past year, there have been moments where I am needed to speak, and there are things that I have inside me that I can speak and say to people that will be helpful, but I don't always know when to speak or when is the time. And when my dad is around, all he has to do is look at me, and I know what to do. And so it's time to go. Cool. And so that's just been my personal sort of like the past year. That's been interesting. We do have, the family has that connection. I also want to make
shorthand, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And you can catch something in just one look. My mom had it as well. And it was sort of like you can communicate it so much there. I wanted to make one more connection. I teach my freshmen every year this book. We go over a night by Elie Wiesel. And
oh my gosh, that's such a good book.
I'm telling you right now,
Yeah,
the saddest, and I hate to, there's a good reason why we teach it, and I'm glad that we do, but it is heartbreaking. And so
it's terrible.
I would just say, just pick your pick, when you're going to read this wisely, because there's a moment, and if people want to skip on past this is a little bit, it's a lot, but it's when Ellie is looking at his mother for the last time, and it is as if she is reassuring him with one look, and the last time that he sees his baby sister. I mean, man, I was just sitting like, she didn't need to say anything. Often with Ellie and his father, they had to be silent, and they were, like those things were happening. So I don't know. I guess we're kind of, again, this is more of a joyous sort of like they're more recalling, and they are emotional. I mean, they're emotional in this state, in this sitting here and thinking about these things. This is coming to an end for them. Their great burden and journey is also over, and they've done many great deeds. And it's time. I think it's very important for all of us to reflect and to think, and to have these moments with friends, with family, where it's another level. It's another level of a connection between people, where you don't. I would make a Star Wars connection here too, where when you're about to say something to someone, and that person, you don't know how to get the words out right, and they just say, "I know." You don't need to say anything. I know what you're going to say, and it's okay. So, all right, that's enough. I just wanted to blow that moment up a little bit, because it is
Anakin,
a cool moment. I will. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Shorthand. The shorthand. You just
it does so much more. Like, that's good writing. That's good storytelling, and it's also real, and it's relatable, because it happens.
Yes, it is.
And so it's good.
And again, it kind of almost goes back to complement the moment that, in a different way, that Arwen and Elrond had, right? Mm-hmm. It's a different way, because they weren't just, maybe they were communicating in the same way, I don't know, but we didn't get to see it, right? In the same way, we don't know exactly what they're talking. I mean, their discussion is somewhat hashed out, but not really. Like, it's more like what they looked like. It's a description of how they would appear to us. Like statues, like carved from the stone, like they're that still, and channeling some other, I don't know, level, plane, whatever. Right.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. So we part with them. They have their moment, and it's something else. And so the Galadriel and Celeborn will leave, and Elrond and those hobbits and Gandalf will continue on. They get to Rivendell. And they're going straight to Bilbo. They want to go see Bilbo, and they want to go see him. They find him.
They gotta clean his diaper up, dude.
I mean, dude, he is old. He is old. And when they get there, he is 129. It is his birthday. They found him all alone in his little room, littered with papers and pens and pencils. He looked very old, but peaceful and sleepy.
Yeah.
And
sounds so nice. I read this last couple pages, and I was like, man, sleep is, I just want to go to bed.
Yeah.
I know. Nice. There's a part of me that can't wait for that. I should not be saying this, but like, if I make it to old age, just like sitting around and just going in and out of napping, like getting ready for the long sleep, and just going in and out of napping. Just like, I think about my, like grandparents and like old people I've observed that just, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Well, that's what. Yeah, he's saying that. It
sounds so nice, dude. It sounds so. It's like I'll check in when I want, and I'll check out when I want. Like, it's just.
Yes. He deserves this peace.
Yes, he does.
Bear. They're also like the other hobbits are kind. You can see them kind of like looking around the room, grinning, like, oh, he's falling asleep. Like, we'll keep telling the story, but he'll be up in a sec.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty neat. He's hoping to outlive old Took, which I think he'll do. After they celebrated his birthday, though, they stay there for a little bit. They pretend he's listening to the story. He's pretending to take some notes, often falls asleep, and wakes up and says, how splendid, how wonderful. But where were we again?
Yeah.
And so they continue on there. Now, this is interesting. So nearly a fortnight had passed, and Frodo looked out of the window and saw that there was a frost in the night, and the cobwebs were like white nets. Then suddenly he knew that he must go and say goodbye to Bilbo. What?
Mhm.
Right?
It's interesting too, like because this is not the first time we've seen this. If you remember, which I know you do, but just like myself, I'm talking to myself there, like there was always that time of year where something Tookish woke up in them an adventure, right? They just felt like it was time to go on an adventure, and it was always around the fall, right?
Yeah.
It's just interesting how Tolkien gives us like hobbits are so in tune. Maybe it's because they're so agrarian and like so connected to the earth, but they're so in tune with nature, which also like kind of like groups them with the elves in a way. If you think about it, they're so in tune with nature that they take cues for, hey, it's time to do this from the earth. You know what I mean? Like that's what I think back to those where it's like something Tookish woke up in him and it was a time he felt like he couldn't explain it, but there was something in the air and it was time for an adventure, you know?
Yes.
It's just very interesting. Yeah.
Well, and you're right. So the hobbits in general were having that feeling. Frodo especially, and Sam he kind of reaffirms as well, like, yes, I'm getting the same kind of feeling as well.
Yeah.
And now, but extra to Frodo is this idea of the sea. Yes,
dude.
something of everything, Sam, except the sea. Frodo had answered, and he repeated it now to himself, except the sea.
Except the sea.
I just have a question mark next to it, right? We're going to find out more on that later. But yeah, there's something like again, that the Shire, that even Rivendell has all this to offer. The Shire has everything, but an odd thought comes to Frodo, and it's just interesting.
And we know those dreams he had before, right? Of the sea, and it's interesting. That's like the last thing that he hasn't seen, right? In Middle Earth, like he's seen everything except for the sea. You know, it's just interesting.
Right. Yeah, yes, exactly. So now Gandalf also says, though, so they realize it's time to go, and he goes to speak to Elrond, but Gandalf is saying that, I think I shall come too, at least as far as Bree. I want to see Butterbur.
Yeah.
There's more he wants to see. Gandalf is definitely, there's more to him. He's not going to give you everything, but this is great, though. So Bilbo, as they're leaving, he's not going to go back. But
dude, he gives him Sting and the Mithril coat again,
as if he hadn't given it before.
Gosh.
God bless him. Yeah, bless him. And so now, pretty neat though. This is so cool. Yeah, I love that. I love the term here. So, he's turning to. He gave Frodo some books and things as well too, and his translations, right? And to Sam, he gave a little bag of gold, almost the last drop of the Smog vintage.
So cool, man. Yeah,
right? May come in use if you decide you want to get married someday. And that's so cool. That is so neat cool. That he's looking after them. And although he says that he only has wisdom to give to Merry and Pippin, he gives them these pipes, really nice pipes
that the elves had made, right?
Right, and it also shows that he knows them. He knows them. He knows these rascals.
Yep.
And this will be something that they'll smoke and they'll remember Bilbo.
Yeah.
And that makes me
cool.
that makes me so happy just to think that like even Sam, that hey, my family's gonna be like, this is gonna give me a good start to raise a good family and to do more good. Bilbo has elevated me in a way, and that is another way that I can carry on his legacy. Man, it just makes me feel so good about these hobbits going back to the Shire. Like it's just it's time. And,
you're right.
And,
it is an elevation, right? Like Sam, like a bag of gold for a gardener, right? That's crazy.
Yes.
Elvish pipes for a couple hobbits. Like no one in the Shire is going to have pipes like that. It is this they're very fine gifts. Like they're very elegant, and it's interesting. Yeah. And how he's always giving gifts, right? Like that's something that Bilbo does. Like it's just so
he's a giver, man. He's a giver. He's not a taker. He's not a taker.
And he gave up that ring, man. He gave, like you said, it blew my mind when you're like, bro, he gave it up willingly.
He did back.
He did. It was like,
how? I mean, think about that. Like
he
did
something
also,
that even Frodo couldn't do.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, again, and he did bear it longer. He wasn't, and again, I don't think it's fair to even say we don't.
He wasn't in. He didn't go to Mordor, right?
No, he was not right there. We don't know what would have happened. I don't think. I actually think it was easier, maybe, on Frodo to. And this is crazy to say, but like to give up there because Bilbo had, but I don't know though, because Bilbo had it for so long, but yet
Yeah.
gave it up. I mean, the power of it had been ingrained in him for so long. It's a lot. It's hard. It's very interesting to think about.
We could have a whole episode on that.
We can go when we will, when this is all over.
Let's do it.
We will.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
So yeah, he's asking about the ring actually right there, and did you get rid of that old ring? Did you still have it? And it's like the reminder. Oh yeah, that's what this whole quest was.
The whole thing was about. Did you change my diaper yet?
Silly me, right? All this stuff with the White Council and Gondor and horsemen and Oliphants, right? Did Sam really see one?
Oh, so
the
funny.
Caves and the towers, yeah, just great. So, yeah. So and he just kind of goes on and talks. He talks until they bust out the road goes ever on and on, right?
Yep.
I mean,
yep.
Back to his old song. So
I love too. There's a couple lines. There's one back where he's talking about why he didn't go to the wedding, right? And you'd think it would be something significant and big, but it's so hobbity. It's just, somehow when it came to it, I found I had so much to do here, and packing is such a bother, right? Like it's so hot that it's so. It's just hilarious.
Well,
and then
I actually think too, Lane, that like it is something. I think it's also maybe like that's true, but at the same time, it's also just his response.
Oh yeah, okay.
He doesn't actually tell them not to worry you, right? I don't not to worry you, but I just had so much going on. It was just really hard.
Yeah.
And stuff, but it was just packing, and that's too much.
Really,
I think there's a lot more there, and I think even at the very end, Bilbo is trying to spare them some of maybe the pains and the woes that he feels and is suffering.
Wow, dude.
I think.
And the way I took it was just that's like a classic. He's like forgetting what he's talking about. He can't remember what's going on.
I think you go either way. That's why I was saying. Like, I think it is very hobbity. It
might be
almost comical. It's funny. It's like
and kind of like someone who's in the twilight of their life, right? I mean, like who's got time to pack? Like I'm just, and then but it goes in with, but that is deep, dude. I didn't take it that way, but that's totally.
I always I always try to, it's Bilbo's my boy, right? So I try to like.
You're right. There could be more there for sure. And. Maybe I don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah, there's more there for sure. But and even just it pairs with, he's talking about it's too late now, and really I think it's much more comfortable to sit here and hear about it all. The fire's very cozy here, and the food's very good, and there are elves when you want them. Like it just, it's
isn't that great?
Good.
Isn't that the world
right.
we want to live in?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's what you. The comforts of home is what he's talking about, and
we're almost there. Yeah.
Right. And it's just the irony is like when they go back to the Shire, those things aren't going to be there. Like that's what they're anticipating, right? They're anticipating
That's right.
it being the same old Shire, but it's crazy.
Right. They'll have to go back and we'll get there. But yeah, you're right.
More cleansing. Yeah.
Yep. So last but not least here, I mean, really, it comes down to Bilbo, talking about. Well, here we go. Some of this needs to be read.
Yeah.
So he's and as Bilbo murmured the last words, his head dropped on his chest and he slept soundly. So the evening deep into the room and the firelight burned brighter, and they looked at Bilbo as he slept and saw his face was smiling. For some time they sat in silence, and then Sam, looking around at the room and the shadows flickering on the wall, said softly, "I don't think, Mr. Frodo, that he's done much writing while we've been away. He won't ever write our story now." Like he's almost like worried about that, right? And at that, Bilbo opened an eye, almost as if he had heard. He did.
Yeah,
he did. And then he roused himself. You see, I get so sleepy, right? And he goes, and I don't have time to write as much, and all I really want to write is poetry now. And he's wondering, my dear boy, Frodo, if you wouldn't mind tidying up things and maybe jotting a few things down, and maybe you can get old Sam in there to kind of help and bring it back to me. I'll look it over, and I won't be too critical. It won't be up to snuff maybe as I would like it, but I want at least get it down. Right? It's just sort of a And he says, of course I'll do that. Of course, I'll come back soon and it won't be dangerous anymore. There's a real king now, and he will soon put the roads in order. Thank you, my dear fellow, said Bilbo. That really is a very great relief to my mind. And with that, he fell asleep again. Man. And so to kind of end this,
great.
Gandalf just sort of, they take their leave of Bilbo in his room. It was cold outdoors, and they said farewell to Elrond and all of his household. As Frodo stood upon the threshold, Elrond wished him a fair journey and blessed him. And he said, I think, Frodo, that maybe you will not need to come back unless you come very soon. For about this time of year, when the leaves are gold before they fall, look for Bilbo in the woods of the Shire. I shall be with him. These words no one else heard, and Frodo kept them to himself.
Again, just the recurring theme of that, like words that are meant for someone that, and here we actually get to hear them, right? But we have the knowledge that no one else knew that they were spoken. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, that happened a lot. It happened a lot in the chapter.
It did. It was all big time. And I think that he's saying something about goodbyes that, those can be a very private thing. And oftentimes you don't have to go tell everybody how, your last interaction. And
that's right.
That's a good thing. It's how you honor a friendship too. Yeah. In a way.
Some things are private. And as you've said this, some things are just for us. They're just exclusive. They're just whatever. And
and that's a good thing.
I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
I did have one kind of weird, aha moment or just a connection. I thought it very interesting, right? Like how, and I've never thought of it this way before, but we've talked a lot about Christopher Tolkien, right? And his continuation of his father's works. And it was just an interesting kind of parallel here where Bilbo, he's like, I don't know. It's all kind of, I don't get much done. And there's scribbles here and scribbles there. And I only really like poetry now. And, would you want to finish this and put it all together? Isn't that interesting? And it's like, sure, of course, I'd love to. And I won't be too critical, It's just, I wonder if he knew that, okay, I've started this thing and I'm never going to stop. And it's my hope that one of my, descendants wouldn't mind doing this. If that's a little nugget he put in there, like, hopefully you won't mind, trying to clean this all up or make sense of stuff I don't finish.
I'm glad you pointed that out. That is very interesting. Yeah. Oh, wow.
There was one other line too. I'm sorry. I just said, because I want to remember it.
That's fine.
That line way back in, it was talking about, oh crap. Where was this? Was forever ago. It was after, it's when they go through Dunland. And it was just a beautiful line because this describes September perfectly. And it's just another way that he does this. I still think about the ragged rain clouds, right? That roll through in April or whatever that we heard way back in the Shire. September came in with golden days and silver nights. Mm-hmm. There's no finer description for September than that right there, man.
That's good.
Golden days and silver nights. The intensity of a hot September day. Summer's still there, but it's the end. And at night, it's when you start to feel the chill in the air. It starts to get cool. You go out for a little sniff and you go, all right. Yeah. It's time, baby. It's time.
Oh, the night breeze. Yeah. Oh,
the night breeze, my friend. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's great. That was a good chapter. Wow. It was good. I'm
glad we took it slow. Yeah.
Yeah, I am too, because it's good to get back into it and kind of it's important because we said farewell to a lot of characters, and they've been with us for a long time. So there's something there. But okay, my friend, here we go. Let's dive in here. I got if you wouldn't mind this first one. I got this first Bywater post here for you.
Sure. Yes.
I got this up here, and then we got one more after that. We got these are good. Get back into the old Bywater post.
That's right. Our favorite part, man. We love this. This first one is from Seb. He says, "Hi, Ezra and Lane. My Govanen. I discovered your podcast recently and cannot stop listening. Your passion about Tolkien and the chemistry between you two is so addictive." Well, that's very flattering. We're clearly addicted to each other as well. I have a lot. I have a lot of catch up. I have a lot to catch up on, excuse me, and I'm listening to 2 to 3 episodes a day. Holy cow, man, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. I started from both ends, and I listen from the beginning and from the end. to what is interesting to see how you evolved in podcasting. Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, wow.
Listening to you is like moving to another world. I feel like I'm sitting at the Prancing Pony, listening to old friends. What's crazy because, we've never met each other, and you don't even know about my existence, he says. I just wanted to tell you that I appreciate your work and wish you many more episodes, and I really hope that you'll get back at least some of this positive energy you're sharing. Well, Seb, it's already happening, my friend. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Beautiful. A few words about myself. I'm a Pole living in Scotland. Wow. One of the prettiest places on earth. And I'm excited that Amazon's show is coming to the country. Okay, this shows when Seb sent this in.
I know.
Isn't that crazy? That's when they were actually going to film in Scotland. Now they're in New Zealand. So, man, what a bummer.
Hey, you know what? I mean, I'm still
back.
Still out there kind of saying,
Come back, baby. Come back. I invited Tolkien to my life in the late 90s. He says, am I a fan? I would not use this word, but I read Lord of the Rings and Silmarillion every couple of years. Yeah, I would say more than a fan. My daughter's name is Eleanor. I'm a member of the Tolkien Society, and my favorite book ever is the Silmarillion. Okay, how does that happen, man?
Right.
Seb's exclusive here, man. He knows what's going on, bro. He's gracing us with his presence here.
Right.
My favorite characters from Tolkien's world represent the variety of the world created by the professor, and they are Círdan, to whom I feel connected by profession. Is he a shipwright? Does he build ships?
Mm-hmm.
And Beorn, closeness to the nature and vegetarianism, and Sam, moral values. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I think it's one of the first times we've ever had like a connection to, and then the description of why someone's connected to the characters. Funny enough, I do not like fantasy at all. And although I read many books of the genre, only Tolkien's world and Sapkowski's The Witcher won my heart. As Scotland was unofficially announced to be Middle Earth by Amazon, I hope to see you here someday. What say you? Well, even though that's no longer the case, Ez is definitely going to be there.
I'm definitely going.
I'm bringing my girls someday. It's going to happen.
Yep.
Qvi or Qve, Seb, Sevalis. P.S. Please excuse my simple English. It's not simple at all, my friend. It's beautiful. It's not my first language, and I cry. I'm sad to not have flexibility to express my thoughts freely and making mistakes that I do make. Dude, amazing. Please do not apologize.
More articulate than we are most of the time.
Oh, it's beautiful.
100%. Awesome. And I didn't even get a chance to mention, but like, unfortunately this year, my trip to Scotland is canceled, but I am planning on going. We're rescheduling, and I actually am really looking forward to going over there and meeting some folks and maybe getting together and going and checking out some of the stuff that the society has to offer, and just looking at some of just the countryside. And I've talked to my dad about trying to figure out ways to maybe make a side trip to see some stuff that's Tolkien related. So
yeah, boy, dude. Wait, are we talking Eagle and Child? Are you going there without me? You son of a gun.
I would probably have to wait. If you're really we're gonna let those kids grow up, and
that's fine.
We'll go.
Well, add Seb to your list so you can go visit him, and you can talk about all the beauty of Scotland and the wonders of Middle Earth. That's wonderful, man.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So next up we have Natalie DeSanto. Hi, Lane and Ez. First off, I cannot thank you both enough for what you are doing. I am also fairly far behind in the book club. I bet you are probably caught up on I am only on podcast 35, but I'm listening furiously to catch up to current. It's funny too because we're trying to catch up on these Tolkien stories, and so that's funny. You won't notice me from social media as I don't have the internet as my house, old school hippie.
Nice.
But I download the podcast while at work, and I listen to them while working on art once my son is asleep.
Wow, cool. Yeah. That's very cool.
You both have encouraged us listeners to so much to share our stories, and they have been so heartfelt, inspiring, and emotional. So I've decided to share mine. I have never shared a story like this publicly, so this is a big deal for me.
Wow, or here we go.
Here it is.
Buckle up.
I was first introduced to Tolkien accidentally by my drunken best friend at a lame party in high school. We rummaged through the host's DVDs, and she randomly pulled out the Fellowship of the Ring. We both had never seen it and experienced Lord of the Rings for the first time, half drunk in an acquaintance's spare bedroom. Wow.
Is that destiny or decision?
Right.
Is there a little bit of both?
There's something there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I was hooked. I bought all the extended editions, and it became my friend and I's thing to bring them to parties, then just go off and watch them.
Wow. That's awesome.
She and I have since gotten matching elvish tattoos that read, speak, friend, and enter. As I grew older, I read the books. Then I read the Silmarillion. Then I read the Lost Tales, and now I'm excited to keep going with the Great Tales. Wow. That's an origin story right there. I mean, a party stumbling, rummaging through DVDs, like what? I mean, that's
nuts, man.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Currently, Lord of the Rings is the most important it has ever been to me. A year and a half ago, I had a son with a long-term partner and love of my life. Our son is healthy, beautiful, and the most wonderful thing that has ever happened to me. Unfortunately, my partner developed severe male postpartum depression, and rather than treating it he turned to a terrifying, dangerous substance addiction. I had to make the choice to leave my partner and to ensure the safety of myself and our son. The struggle of watching my love fall to addiction reminded me constantly of Samwise watching Frodo struggling with the ring. I tried as steadfastly and as hard as I could to help, but in the end, he chose the ring. Unfortunately, in our tale, there was no Gollum to save the situation, and our world went to ruin. I often wonder, in an alternative situation where Middle-earth continued on and Sam went back to the Shire without Frodo, what would Sam do? How would he have coped with knowing that the ring had Frodo and what it would do to him? How would he exist day to day with that knowledge? It has been difficult, but my son and I are now on an uphill road, and we both are as happy as we can be. Watching the Lord of the Rings movies was my comfort on the lonely nights during the beginning of our new life, but there are only so many times that one can watch them. Finally, a friend recommended podcast. She told me that there is a podcast for literally anything and that I should just type in what I like so much. So I typed in Lord of the Rings and I found an unexpected podcast. Now, once my son is asleep, I listen to Lane and Ezra bring new life and humor into my favorite story of all time. The insights of you both and the other uppers and the humor are something I look forward to, and I cannot thank everyone enough for this wonderful community that an unexpected podcast has created.
Wow.
You are making an unexpectedly single mom much happier. Thank you, Natalie.
That is wonderful, Natalie. Wow. What? Wow. I would just like to speak to one thing, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Male postpartum depression is a real thing. I think a lot of times we only think of it as moms having that. I didn't have severe, but I think I may have had a slight form of that after Winnie and Charlotte were both born. And I can't even explain it. I haven't told even many. Well, now I've told a lot of people about it, but I've told you about it. I told my wife about it when it was going on that night. When Winnie, I don't know, especially when Winnie was born, I felt no, I don't know. It was weird. So, suspend judgment for a second, but it's just interesting that Natalie's bringing this up, and I feel the need to talk to dads out there too. Because if you're a dad and you're feeling this way, don't try to cover it up or think that it's wrong or bad. You need to tell people is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
I remember when Winnie was born, there was all this build up. She's our first baby, right? And I think what depressed me was in that hospital, I felt like I could have not been there. I felt like I wasn't needed. I felt like I wasn't needed. I remember almost kind of feeling a definite sense of uselessness, and maybe I don't know, maybe the part of that is like just you're like as a dad or a man you're kind of supposed to, I don't know, but like the attachment was with mom. Sarah breastfed, so that connection was going on, and then we were getting ready to leave the birthing room, and I was putting Winnie's like onesie on, and a lady stepped in and she was like, you're not doing that the right way. You're supposed to go arms first, then legs. And I was just like, what? So I felt that it didn't last very long. So it was not very severe, but there was a definite sense of, she was born right after. And I felt like, a lack of connection, and also some, a form of like, just uselessness and depression. So that's crazy. And it's sad to hear about, her partner, and that's crazy. But, and then wow.
I can't
That's an amazing story though. That's an amazing story.
Yeah. It's, the bravery to share all that and to talk cause there are people, we've said this before. And again, the connection that you just made there, like it's a lot to share. It's a lot to kind of talk about those things that are personal, but like we are all human, and there are these experiences that we get ashamed sometimes about talking about them, and we're worried about maybe what's going to happen if we do bring them up or we say this out loud. But I don't know. I guess I'm thankful that people do, because other people need to hear it, and it's helpful, and it's although it's hard, I'm watching you right now, and I know we've talked about this before, and it's hard to bring those things up and stuff. And so Natalie, that's it just means. So, we were talking
for her to share that too. That's like, it's incredibly brave.
So, and it's so, and like Lane and I were talking before we started. I'll just say this. Lane and I were talking before we started this episode, and you guys are like, I don't know. There's life is just like, it's so interesting to me. Like we feel way more honored than like that. Just everything you said in the both those stories are just so nice and kind, and we have so many people who are listening and who are connecting with each other, whether it's in a group or outside of this, or just meeting up. We got people meeting up in different countries. I mean, based upon like so it's, and again, this all goes back to the great professor and his work and everything that this has inspired in us, and we're fans of this series, and we make so many connections, and there's a reason why he's the author of the century. There's a reason why these books are so great, and these stories are so awesome, and they can elevate us and they can lift us up and stuff. And then yes, you do sometimes have to take it a step further and make connections with other people, and then like again, if your experience with Lord of the Rings was tainted by something, and then you're able to find to rekindle that fire again, and that new passion through a podcast or through another club or a book club or whatever it may be. That's the whole idea behind our humble little podcast. And so for Natalie to say that, I just want her and everyone to know that it does still mean the absolute world to us when you guys send and say things like that. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
Forever thankful. So
yeah. And Seb, to you too. I mean, it's just like, it is mind blowing. And it, honestly, a lot of, I mean, it doesn't, we keep going no matter what, but those words that you send us, especially like embedded in the episode, through the, the Tolkien stories by Waterpost, it does like I mean, I'll be honest, there are some chapters where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how am I getting through this? And I remember I'm like, okay, there are going to be some really cool real life Tolkien stories we're going to read. I'm going to hang on to that. And then we get there, and it always gives me a second wind to just finish up the episode well. I don't know how. I mean, I know how, but it's just, it never fails is what I mean. So those, your words of kindness are never, we never just sit here and go, well, of course.
No.
Of course. No. It's like, oh my gosh, it blows me away every time, man. Every time.
It did.
So,
yeah.
And it's just cool. It's great to show how that it is a community of positivity and kindness and kind words. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
100%.
Beautiful. So next time you think about, popping in a random DVD at a party. It could lead to your favorite thing of all time. Just think about that.
I cannot. That is such a great open to that. I mean,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, so strawberries with cream, man. What is the hardest parting you've ever had? Your most grieved goodbye?
Oh, wow, man. Oof. We're already really emotional.
I know. And I realized I forgot to type one in, so I was actually that's the only thing I could think of.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
For me, it's just got to be, if we're talking about hardest partings. I mean, the thing that helps you get, I'll just say this first. The thing that helps you get through the parting is knowing that, it's exactly what Gandalf says to Pippin, that this is not the end.
Yeah.
This is not the end.
Yep.
And that is what makes this so much easier to say, because I remember being a younger man, and when I lost my grandma first, that was the first big loss that I had that was just leveled me. I literally just did not know what to do. And that was someone who raised me, and we had confided so much in her, and she was just such a huge influence. My mom's mom. Yeah. And it was huge. And then literally just a few years later, not that long actually after my mom passed away. And it was just like, wow, and anyone, I've talked to colleagues about this. I've talked to friends about this. My colleagues definitely notice it, but the people who raised me, I mean, my aunts, my mom, my grandma, I didn't have grandpas. I did not really have, I adopted a grandpa in my life who was the pastor of our church and was my grandma's cousin, old J.R. Smith. Shout out to him.
You're a Smith after all.
I am. I'm related to the Smiths. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But, they were just, I don't know. It's something my dad and I talked about not too long ago. It's just that they were my aunts, my mom, my grandma were just the people they just knew what to do. They were, I mean, we would turn to them for everything. And so, yeah, that I would say, definitely very hard. And, but again, I say that, and I'm able to talk about it now because I do know that nothing can separate the bond between our hearts. And I do know that they taught me that, Lane. That's something they passed on to me. And so that's I think what I try to keep in mind is that life is like a vapor. And it is just this short little time here.
Yeah.
But that's just this life. And there's more to come. I'm a believer in it, man. I just believe that the journey goes on, the road goes on. And we've heard, all we read about in this chapter was that very thing.
Yes, right.
The sea, another great voyage, and so
something beyond. Yeah.
I think you have to keep that in mind because we can in these darker times get kind of burdened down with that. And so I just want people to stay as hopeful and as positive as we can. So I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Man, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I would say on a personal level, my dogs, when we had to put Michaela down, when Arwen, passed on, those were very, very hard.
Yep.
I didn't think this might sound kind of weird, but especially seeing my girls, the innocence they have and how just the childhood, right? I think maybe even within myself, I'll be honest. There are times where I see myself and I think, you've lost something. Mm-hmm. There's something that you have lost along the way. And whether that's still back in your childhood or, 2 years ago, there's something that you need to go back and find and bring back to who you are now, because it's going to make you better. I don't know. I mean, that might be a weird way to take it, but I get you. I mean, I think about the losses to come are definitely going to be my mom and my dad. You think about COVID, and I've thought about that. I haven't hugged them. I've gotten, I've walked by them out in the yard and stuff, but I haven't embraced them physically, because I think I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I told Sarah, I was like, when my mom and dad die, I will probably be useless for months and then maybe I'll have a little bit of function.
Yeah.
That's a hard one, dude. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting because I mean I lost my grandma when I was like 11, and I just have fond memories of her. So it wasn't really I didn't understand it either. I lost an aunt of mine like right before that. We were there the day she passed away, and she like battled cancer for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But and we were close, but not like super close. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. That's a hard one. That's a hard one for me. I don't really.
Well, and let me say, I mean, the thing that you're talking, because there are different types of
goodbyes,
loss,
right,
and loss that we have to say. Because I could have even, and I went, to that. Well, call it an extreme.
No, those are your great. Those are your hardest partings, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's,
right. But have there been others with like friendships and development in life where you've had to say, and like life calls you in this direction and you have to go, and you have to go.
Yeah.
And that it's going to take you away from the life that you have known. I mean, that's a great parting. And that's something that is tough, and it's you grieve a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too, and I know, like when you lost Arwen and stuff, like, gosh, man, there's something I think everyone needs to have grace and mercy, just be kind to one another when you're going through these things, or when the world is covered in darkness like it is right now. I mean, literally I want to focus on the positive. I want people to go out there and find so many of these good deeds that are happening and this good stuff that is happening, because it's out there, but it does seem very dark now. And we just need reminded to shift our focus there. But yeah, I don't know.
So I did a terrible job in Strawberries with Cream.
Hey, man.
I'm shifting that focus. But the other thing too, when you think about those grief goodbyes,
you have to appreciate them.
Yes.
That's why I said, it's.
Yes. We've been, Winnie has been obsessed with Coco. Like, it took us forever to watch Coco. And Sarah and I have been like, come on, let's try this. Like, cause we want to watch it. Right. And just that notion of, oh my God, it's tragic. Like, if someone in the land of the living forgets you, then you cease to exist in that world, right?
Yeah.
And the importance of remembering those who've gone before you, whether you knew them or not. And it's just because in that way you keep them alive in some respects. And so it is good to think about. I think that while sometimes it can be a sad process, like, it's good ultimately. So
yeah, these partings can take us to better and more elevated places, and we have to go there sometimes. Like, it is part of life. It's painful, but it is. Yep. It is. So
it's a good thing. Yeah. All right, bro. How can we share the load, my friend?
Yeah. Well, friends, again, sending those Tolkien stories. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. Yep. You can definitely go do that. We've been sharing more stories and fun stuff over there. And I'm hoping this summer we're gonna have some fun shenanigans and things going on, depending on how things go. We'll see how much more longer we're gonna be doing this long distance type of podcasting. But yeah, I think those are the best ways to kind of share the load. And then we do have a couple more Patreon episodes coming up this month, so be sure to go check those out.
Yep, over
on Patreon. So,
and we also did want to say, edit me if I'm saying too much, but just with Patreon, all right? Like, please, we don't ever want you to feel like you have to be we'll be doing this whether there's 500 patrons or 1 patron or 0 patrons, okay? Like, we just want you to know, like, especially now, and we were going to make some kind of post about it, we just never did. We never got around to it. Like, because we've had some people saying, hey guys, I had to change my patronage, my level. Yeah. Like, please don't, take it personally. We never do. We never do. Like, please don't feel like, and if you're to the point where you're like, man, I don't know, like, I gotta cut some stuff. Things are happening, and
the first thing you should cut. Yep.
Cut it immediately. Immediately. And also, that being said, like, we are gonna like in the future we're gonna have to kind of change what it might move towards mostly just like new content. Can I say that? Is that cool? Mm-hmm. Like, we're going to do as many t-shirts as we can. We're going to try and do bundles if we can, but dude, it's so expensive. It's so expensive to do that kind of stuff. And unless, I'm just going to say it, all right, unless we have like a couple thousand patrons, it's hard to make it like so that we're not losing money. You know what I mean? Like, like coming out of pocket. And we love doing that stuff for you guys, but it's just, I don't know, like it might have to change. So anyway, that's all.
So yeah, don't ever, I mean, no, I agree. I'm glad you said it. Cause again, it's hard times. I mean, I brought up my buddy Matt and people who have lost jobs and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, again, if you want to, it literally is just, it's there. There's even some free public stuff on there that you can go look at and enjoy and have fun. I've been trying to post more free stuff that's just anybody can go enjoy. It's just extra stuff that's not appropriate, air quote appropriate. It just doesn't fit in the feed. You know, it doesn't fit in in a traditional podcasting feed.
It's not relevant. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's also where we're trying to. You know, one thing you could do. You talk about sharing the load, like going and subscribing to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that Lane and I have talked here recently about like going and doing more stuff there. And I think that's also then just so people don't feel like, well, you know, to get that extra stuff. No, we're going to do extra stuff there and we're going to do extra stuff on Patreon. And that's really what our plan is kind of moving forward. And we do have some, we're always working on some secrets, you know, special stuff. And so I actually do think we're going to have,
might find some more lost socks, you know, you never know.
That I think we've got that. I think we've got a busy year ahead of us. And I'm looking forward. I really am. I'm looking forward to it. I remember saying at the beginning of 2020, before all this happened, like we still have so many plans and fun stuff planned for you guys. So although there's a lot going on, there's a lot to look forward to.
Yes, definitely. All right, man. Wow. Time for Fortnite farewells. We want to thank you for saying a lot of goodbyes to a lot of people. Next time, we'll be following Sassy, Chance, and Shadow as we head homeward bound in Chapter 7.
Yep. If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us a shadow fax.
Shadow, no! We'll see you in a fortnight, and remember, Frodo lives.